Hey guys, and welcome back to another episode here. I am heading over to Western Waste to do some dragons. I do apologize if the screen gets a little choppy there. It's me switching over to Twitch to make sure that it was working, and there might be a delay in how long you guys didn't hear anything being said, why that was being worked out over there. Sometimes it takes a few seconds, sometimes it starts immediately, so it is kind of different from starting a video where I can just like push the record button and get right into it. It doesn't always work that smoothly when you're doing Twitch. But we're going to run over here, get a port. We're going to be going with Yato, who is in Velocity Shift. For those of you who may not know that guild very well, they are absolutely fantastic. I love grouping with them quite a bit. And thankfully, Yato kind of hits me up and lets me know things that are going on because I have my monk in that guild, but I don't have him high enough that he can actually participate. And yet he's still kind enough to invite me out on my cleric, which is pretty cool because otherwise I would have to wait, a number of levels before I could, group with those guys. And some guilds, they're not like that. Some guilds, like if you don't have your character in that guild, regardless of whether you have a character in that guild at all, they don't want to have anything to do with you until you're on that tune that is in that guild. So yeah, I think that's pretty cool, very telling of those people. It's not about guild tags, it's about friendships. And for those of you who are kind of looking for a guild like that, I would definitely suggest going over and checking out Velocity Shift. Good bunch of people, and overall just a lot of fun. Like they do things, it seems like at least every other day, if not every day, there's something going on. Whether it's a big raid or not, there's at least something being brought together. Like this one right here, this isn't a raid, this is us getting together as a guild. Maybe a group, maybe two groups going over there. It may not even be a full group, it's just kind of impromptu thing that they're putting together. Some guilds don't do that. Some guilds set up a date and they're like, okay, this is what we're going to be doing, and beyond that there's nothing else to be done with that guild during the rest of the week. So yeah, it's kind of interesting to see. There we go. I think Yato invited me. Yep. So, yeah, there's another member of my guild right there. They are doing pickups because they are getting something set up for, I believe, Seb. Paradigm shift. So, yeah, kind of running into multiple things going on. But, we got a druid here. We got our paladin who's looking pretty decked out, man. He has some pretty cool equipment on. I believe that is the Sky Shrine armor, but don't hold me to that one because what it looks like on a paladin can vary depending on the race that they're playing. So he's playing a high elf. I've been told Sky Shrine armor is a little bit yellow on the high elves. However, I don't know what Kale armor looks like. Have none of those pieces on my cleric. I have the Kale armor, which drops over in West TOV instead of halls of testing. So yeah, it's we are in Great Divides. Okay, so we're just picking up some guys here. Smogs, I believe. There he is right up there. We got a slower. So we got a tank, a druid, and a shaman. And when I say tank, I guess I should say paladin, but yeah, I believe he's probably going to be doing the tanking over here. If any tanking is to be had, I don't know how they're going to be doing the strategy here just yet, but we'll definitely see how that goes. Now, I am staying out of TeamSpeak for the moment. When I was grouping with Paradigm Shift up in Fear, they did request that I stay out of TeamSpeak just because they didn't want that being broadcast all over the internet for everybody to hear. Completely understand it. I have no ill will towards them asking that or requesting that. So I will stay out of that from now on. Same thing kind of was a little mentioned in the Velocity Shift raid when I went up to the Plane of Hate with them. They were, kind of like, we're doing strategies here. You kind of need to be in it, but you don't want that being broadcast. It's very difficult to separate the audio for me to be able to hear TeamSpeak but not broadcast it because the way OBS works, and there might be a workaround. I'm just not like an expert when it comes to OBS. I would say I'm medium kind of user of it, but yeah, when it comes to OBS, the way it works is it just broadcasts what's coming across your speakers. So if you have the radio on and you're listening to music on your computer, then the music you're listening to on your computer would be broadcasted through OBS. If you have TeamSpeak on, it's going to be broadcasted. The game sound going to be broadcasted. The only thing you can turn on and off fairly easy is the mic. Like you can just turn your mic off, but that's a different input into the computer, and so therefore I think it's a little bit easier for them to separate that, whereas audio is all being inputted through one source, your card, and from there you'd have to change what is allowed and what isn't. And there's some programs out there I've been told that you can use, but I do not know any of those programs. Like I've been told they're out there, I just don't know the names of them, and then I'll have to learn how to use those to see if I can actually figure out how to allow OBS to record certain things and not record other ones. It is kind of a unique thing that I haven't really ever had to do with any other game. You know, like if I'm doing a game review, and I'm going to actually start up a lot more games here recently, I kind of take a little break. I won't say that I got burned out, but it's the holidays, and with the holidays, you got a lot of things going on, and I just didn't really have the time to do the amount of games that I was doing before. Let's see. Love the stream. Like how in depth you go with discussing everything you do. It's not just playing. You discuss what you're doing really different, and I like it. Oh, well, thank you, Smogs, man. I appreciate it. Let me reply back to him because I don't know if he's watching the stream or not. Thanks, man. Oh my god, my spelling sucks tonight. But yeah, so completely lost topic on what I was talking about. Oh yeah, the sound. Yeah, I've never had to do that with any of the other games, but I will be picking up my schedule again. Yeah, I guess it was like half burned out, half just holiday rush, getting Christmas shopping done, working overtime, family coming into town. Just starting a new game, it takes a little bit. I hate to be like, oh yeah, it's a lot of work. No, you're playing a game. Like it's fun to do, but it does still require a little bit of work. As much as that might be like it's a contradictory in terms. When you play a new game, you got to start it up. You got to make sure that it records, and OBS sometimes is a little fickle in how it determines what it wants to record and whether it's going to give you some problems. Sometimes those problems are fairly easy to figure out. You can do it in like 30 seconds. Sometimes they take a couple of hours to figure out like why it's not recording the image like it does with every other game you've ever played by doing the exact same thing you've ever done. So yeah, there's that side, and then there's the adjusting the volume, which sounds easy enough, but every game is completely different in that regard. Some games are beautiful in the options they give you. If you ever played like a first-person shooter, you'll see that you have sound that's in the background, the music, the ambiance that's going on. Sometimes you have like the crickets and the wind and that kind of sound, and that's a different set of volume. And then of course you have the action, you have the guns going off, you have the explosions, then you have voice acting. All of those sometimes are just put into one tab, and so if you turn that tab down so that it's the volume in the background is not so loud that you can't hear the person talking over the video, then you can't hear the people talking in the video game because you've turned it down so much. I love the ones that they give you each individual tab as a separate one that allows you to say, I only want the music to be turned down, but I want the explosions to be up to this level. And I like the volume for the characters to be up to max, and so on and so forth. Then again, when you go into it, you sometimes have to play for a good, hour before you adjust all those levels the way you want them, so that when you start the video, again, it's like the background stuff that's probably, very, very few of you are even interested in, but it definitely is something that that takes a little bit of effort to get down, and when you start a brand new game, you run into that. Once you've played the game and you got all those settings done, you pretty much just log in, sorry guys, and click the record button and you're ready to go, because you've already done all the legwork. But starting brand new games definitely require a little bit of time. Now, let's see, I don't know if we're going to be staying here or if we're running to the other side. Nibs is not in yet. Let's see, we getting an evac to the other side. If not, I'll see if I can find a dialeport to come on and evac us out to the other side. I don't mind paying for that. I don't like running through this zone, to be honest. I did follow somebody else through it the other day, but I could probably get about halfway before I get lost because there was a little bit of running through halls that I was half paying attention to and half trying not to die. Nah, only one yellow from 57. I can't evac yet. Okay, let me see who I'll dial. Do. Let's see. Limitas. Cross. SG. It's because they still have to have the spell. No, you don't have to switch over, man. I can see if I can get the evac over here. Should be able to run through it, but okay. So we got somebody coming. I really miss playing EQ some days. Yeah, I mean, it's a great game, but it does take up a lot of time. And when I go through those funks where it's just like I need something to relax and something to just kind of you know play around with that I don't need to. I don't know. Like when I start a new game, it requires a lot of kind of effort to get that going, and then you're going into a brand new game, which is exciting. But some days you're not into that. Some days you're just like, I want to play something that I know I already enjoy and that I enjoy a lot. You can get the TS if you like AC. Dragon Killer is a new pass. You want to bind here at entrance. Do you have like 5 food and 5 drink you could throw us? You want to bind here at entrance. Bind on the other side. I got food and water. You can get. Okay, so TS. You get into TeamSpeak if you like AC. Dragon. No, I'm gonna stay out of TeamSpeak for now. TS for now. Okay, so we got Limitos coming, but yeah, EverQuest is definitely one of those games that is hard to stay away from. But if you don't have the time to play it, it can be rough. Like you're just not going to progress very far. And it took us, I think, I say us because I was playing with a group of friends. We had, Hydros Inc., who played Thum. We have, Bushido Bull. We had Dark Dragon way back when he was able to come join us. He had some surgery and, kind of got left behind in levels because he was gone for so long. But, the group of us, we had, a whole bunch of others. I don't want to leave anybody out, but we had, a whole bunch of people we were kind of grouping with. And we were playing, I think, just the weekends. And it kind of varied sometimes. Sometimes it was like Saturdays and Sundays. Sometimes it was like Tuesdays and Wednesdays. Um, I can run out and forget to grab more. I got coming. Sorry, I'm trying to read what's going on and make sure I don't ignore them because we're trying to start something up here. Could I snag like dun, dun, dun. But yeah, so in the end, we were very filthy casual about it. We played just on the weekend. That's why I let people know you can do it. But it took us about a year and a half to get up to the 50s. So as long as you're not in like a super rush, you can still be fine getting to the level that you're at eventually. But some people they fall into like I did for the last couple weeks. I've been playing pretty hardcore. 6 to 8 hours a day. The holidays, like sometimes you have more time to play, sometimes you don't, and I've had time to kill while I've been waiting for other things to happen. So yeah, it could be a time sink. So I understand why some people don't play as much as they do now. Sweet, if you were able to farm these dragons, no problem, and get good experience. I'll hit 57 today. Anytime we want to come back, I'll be able to evac. I have it in the bank waiting. So that would be pretty sweet. But yeah, there's another game on the rise that we were kind of talking about touching on base. with the last video, and we kind of ran out of time because everybody was logging off and it was real late, so we were kind of ending the stream there. And I didn't get to touch on some more about it that I really wanted to, which was Pantheon. Pantheon seems like a very, very cool game. At the end of the last episode, I did mention one negative thing that I heard about it. And the reason I mentioned the negative is just because most of you who have heard me talk about it have heard me talk about nothing but the positive. And that's great. I mean, it's great to talk about the positive. It's also good to talk about some of the negatives if you hear about them, because it's not like you're picking on the game, you're just discussing whether you like certain aspects of those games. And the one thing that I heard about the negative, or for me it was a negative, was that they're thinking about, and it's not completely 100%, but they're thinking about doing it monthly. So you'd have to pay monthly fee to play in the game. The only problem I've had with that is that I've done it for so long that I am not really a big fan of it. I played Everquest when it first came out a few months, maybe not a few months, a few weeks or something like that. After it first came out is when I really got into it. It was like days after the game was released that I made my character, but I kind of shared it with my brother because it was his gift, and I would go over to his place and I would try it out, and I liked it, but I wasn't sure if I wanted to plop down the money and then get a computer that could run it. And they took me a few months to kind of like, okay, I really like this game. I wish I could play it more, and the only way I could do that is to plop down the money. So I ended up doing that, and then going like really hardcore into it at all the time that I had. But Pantheon, they're gonna do the monthly thing is what they're kind of hinting at. And EverQuest, I did that for like 8 or 9 years, and then I went over to EverQuest 2, and I did that for another like 8 or 9 years. And then I played World of Warcraft, and I did that, at the same time I was doing EverQuest 2 for a few more years in between there. Paying monthly sucks. It really does, because there are plenty of times where life or things get in the way, and you pay, for me anyways, it was always cheaper, or it seemed cheaper, if you paid for like a year, 6 months to a year, and you got, instead of like $12 or $15, no, that's all right, I got it. Torpor, I'll throw my dots also, since we got nibs and Demi, guess I could dot. Okay, so he's on their way. Let me say, I'll finish my thought here in a second, guys. Can I get leader to invite when he gets here? I should have asked sooner, but there he is right there. Come on, give me leadership. Second. Come on, man. They might be AFK. That suck. I have no money on me. Really? I have no money. Alright, well, he's gonna get an item then. Okay, there we go. You are a leader. If I can click on you. He sits right in the middle of a corpse. Come on, move. Let me get in there. We're good. Can I get him? There we go. Yeah, I would have preferred to give him like 120 plat, but that should cover the bill. Poor man. Okay, go wait. But yeah, I mean, so doing it for that many years, and then of course having time where you're away from the game, but you paid for like 6 months to a year, then not being able to play for several months, you're just losing money and not being able to use it. So that's why I don't really like that system. Plus, with the PlayStation 3, they showed that you can have online mode where you don't have to pay for it. You just pay for the initial game, $60 to $80 for the initial game, and then you get the ability to play online for as long as you want. That is a cool setup. I don't mind paying $100 for an expansion. It's a lot of money, but you get your money's worth out of it. And if they could figure out a system that worked with that, then that's what I prefer. But that's kind of why I say it's a negative when they go monthly, because I've seen other game companies, especially MMOs lately. They seem to all be doing the free to play, and then boom, you can do the monthly when you want to, or you can do the in game currency. So there's different techniques that they can use, and it just seems like the monthly thing straight up is the old kind of tired system that they had long time ago because they didn't have anything else. Which way do we go? I think it's that way. Here we go. All right, I'll bind on the other side. Hey, Lith, how you doing today, man? We're just kind of getting things started. I just actually started the video like 10 minutes ago, and we are on our way to Western Waste to kill some dragons. See if we can farm some spells and things of that sort. So we'll see how well we do. I've never done this with this few people, so it will be a different experience for me for sure. Let me go ahead and get bind up. Yeah, he probably made a small little fortune right there. I don't know how much the other guy paid him, but come on, give me bind. There we go. But then they have a lot of really cool things about Pantheon that I'm really excited to try out. And I've already plopped down the $100 to get into that beta version of it, so it should be fairly interesting to see how it works. Could I snag invis by chance? But yeah, so it's one of the things I really want to see. It's kind of excited me the most about that game is the underwater race. I've never seen a game really fully integrate that into it as well as it could. Sec. I think he's not in the group anymore. I don't know if he can still give it to me. Fight me required. Okay, there we go. There's something I never did back in the day, but when I checked their HP out, don't know why my guild didn't. Appreciate it, man. Alright, give me a second, guys. I have no idea where we're meeting, so I'm just going to sit here until somebody says something. Yeah. Yeah, this is a cool zone. It's very dangerous. There's a lot of things in here that you got to watch out for and things of that sort. The vile worm thingy-majiggies, you'll see them. They're giant worm-like creatures that move, I think, faster than Spirit of the Wolf. They are, by far, I think, the #1 problem that you got to watch out for on the coast, all right? But, yeah, they're one of the biggest issues that most people run into. They do drop some pretty nice stuff, but you do need to be aware that they will wreck your face if you are not prepared for them. I don't think they see through Invis, so I think you're good running through this zone with Invis on, as long as you stay away from the dragons that are, I believe, tier 5 and above. Those guys will see through Invis. And of course, there's that giant dragon right at the entrance to TOV that will definitely see through Invis. So, there we go. So here's the coast. I don't know if they're going to be meeting down on the bottom or up here, so we'll just have to keep an eye out. 12:35. Okay, so we can find it that way. Let's see, 12:35. Oh yeah, we're really far away from it. Okay, so we'll have to run it. Yeah, but one of the things I'm really looking forward to is the. I keep getting distracted while I'm talking to you guys, so you hear a little bit of repeating there. But what's PS up to? No idea. Not sure. Haven't been reading guild chat. But yeah, again, I'm gonna repeat myself. It's the underwater race. I've seen in World of Warcraft they do the undead can breathe underwater, but it's more of like a curiosity. Oh, they can also breathe underwater because they're not actually breathing; they're dead. Not a whole lot you can do with it, but there it is. Everquest Classic, they had catch keep and zones like that, but again, more of like, oh, here's a one-off. You will want Enduring Breath for it, but is it really worth it for you to be like, let me start an entire class that breathes underwater? Probably not. So I hope they incorporate, not just the city, but starting zones, not just one zone, but starting zones around it, from like mid-range to all the way up to high tier stuff, that will make it worthwhile to have a class that can breathe underwater and not just, I want other classes to be there too. So they need some like enduring breath item, but it needs to be hard to get like it was in this one. It needs to be expensive to the point of even with that item, maybe it can get dispelled. Maybe there's a purpose behind, allowing you to start another character that can breathe underwater. Like give them something that makes that class unique. That give and the take is what classic EverQuest has always been for me. If I had C2, could probably do it. Would take time to learn how. Got C2 already for soloing the dragons. Let's see. I'm going to fly off one of these cliffs when I'm not paying attention. Sorry, Tiz. Mubot has been a little extreme on people when they use caps. I know sometimes, you just forget the caps locks is on, and it deletes your messages. So try not to do too many words in there with caps on there. I have no idea how to turn that off. That's Richard Heat usually does that part for me. He's been kind enough to moderate the channel and set up Mubot, and it works majority of the time. It stops people from coming in and spamming things and saying things that are just offensive to a lot of people, and that I don't catch right away because I'm not looking at the channel all the time when I'm running through these zones. Sorry, guys. Jeez, always seems to happen when I start recording. You are indifferent. Okay, so good. Yeah, Juju follow coast to us. Yeah, that's what I'm doing right now. So it's getting there. I need to get to 12:35. So yeah, it's still going. I'm still a little bit of ways. Do they still have the shop where you can gamble for items that no longer drop in the game? No, I don't know what shop that is, but it's not in Classic. It may be in Live, but definitely not in this version of the game. This version only goes up to Velius, so anything that came after that won't be in here. They do have another server you could play on that is Project 2002, and that goes up to to the year 2002. So you'll have like Luckland in there. You'll have Plains of Power. I don't know if you have the Lost Dungeons of Norath in there or anything like that, but it would not surprise me if it goes up to at least like Lost Dungeons of Norath, which will start kind of introducing instances for the very first time. But I have not played on that server. They just recently did a revamp on that one to allow you to use the UI of Titanium, which was one of the biggest complaints that a lot of people had. Is the UI that they had was just abysmal and didn't allow you to, have a smooth and non-buggy gameplay. And so by switching to that, they allow you to get a lot more people over from Project 1999 and people who like the classic feel to easily make the transition. So that's something I'll definitely be checking out here in the future at some point. But for now, it's gonna be a little while because I still got to do a whole bunch of other games. In fact, like 3 or 4 new games just came out today that I have been waiting for, and I got lucky enough to get the Steam key from the game companies. So those are coming first, and I still need to do a month of like VR games because I have like 60 VR games that I really want to review, but I haven't had a chance to just yet. So yeah, that's gonna be a thing here in the future. Let me get set up over here before we start on another topic. There they are. And Nibs is taking some damage, or is he? It's probably from falling, it looks like. Here we go. There we go. He should be good now. Watch out for the Pathing Dragons. Okay, so I'm at 60% mana, so I do need to meta up a little bit before I really do too much. Let me change my camera angle so I can keep an eye out on things behind us and in front. We should be good, though. I think they're going to call it out if something jumps out. No excessive caps. Sadly, my hopes for good underwater content died with GW2, but I'd love to be pleasantly surprised, but I'm not a fan of it. Which games just tuned in? We were kind of talking... This is Everquest. We were kind of talking about the underwater zones coming out for Pantheon, and how I really hope that they break the mold of treating underwater zones as more of an afterthought and a curiosity than an integral part of the game. Like I mentioned other ones like World of Warcraft, where the undead was allowed to swim underwater without having to breathe because they were dead, but never could do anything with that really. I mean, there's a few places where it came in handy, but more of just like, oh, that's kind of cool. Now I'm done 5 minutes later. Nothing that you went out of your way to create a character just because of that. Whereas there are in EverQuest, every character seems to have a little something that made people want to play it. You had, ogres and trolls had that ability to where they had a lot of hit points. They could resist stuns and had more health regeneration. Ixars had the biggest health regeneration, and so therefore you put up with the fact that they leveled slower and that they were hated by everybody. Dark Elves started with a high intel. Erudite started with a high intel. And it seemed like every class had that one thing that was like, I'll do that. Even like dwarves, they have that barrel roll, which is sometimes just enough to make people be like, I'll start that guy because, the other classes are very close in a lot of regards that you're worried about for that specific class, whatever you're picking. But the barrel roll kind of pushes it over the edge. Never seen anybody do that with the underwater and say, look, this is what the underwater race can do. It can breathe underwater, and maybe another little tidbit to throw on there, and then put it into the game to a degree that makes it where people were like, it's not just one zone, it's maybe 15 or 20. Maybe it's not just in one zone that's completely underwater like Hedgekeep, but in every zone there's puddles or lakes or wells that if you can breathe underwater, you can get all the way down there and pull mobs out. So maybe a combination of being able to breathe and swimming really fast, almost like Spirit of Wolf speed, so that other people who have enduring breath items can swim down there and pull the mobs, but they can't swim as fast, and therefore they can't pull those mobs efficiently without getting beat on as much. So, yeah, I mean, just so many things they could do with it that no game really has ever taken, full advantage of. And I hope with the fact that one of the main races in Pantheon that they've shown on there, they didn't have a lot to pick from when they first started throwing out the races. I think they had 4, now they've gone to like 6. And I think they've even gone a little bit further than that in the last few months. But yeah, with like the first 4 races, one of them was an underwater breathing race. So that led me to have a little bit more hope that they're being integrated in on the ground floor of all the zones makeup, and therefore it could have a bigger role in the game because of it. And I think that's kind of exciting. One of the other aspects of the game that I'm kind of looking forward to, which kind of goes with the water theme, is the environmental effects. They've already said that you're going to be able to, take hits from stuff in the environment. So one of the, hey Milkoma, how you doing, man? Did you get some good sleep tonight or last night? Because I know you were a little tired when we ended the stream there. Let me make sure I'm not missing anything. Okay, well, med buff and swallow you. Okay, so yeah, they're good. I'm at 80%, so I'll let them know. But yeah, one of the things is the environmental effects, and they've kind of mentioned that in a no sick kids. Oh, that sucks, man. Holidays, kids going to school, they're bound to bring something home, and it sucks to be sick for the holiday, especially for the kids. This is their time to play and be excited and have that magic back in their lives. Got Bard into for the DPS and mana resist. Sweet. So they got a Bard coming. Yeah, but as far as like the environmental effects go, it's actually several fold. And what they mentioned is some of the creatures will take hits from weapons based off of the type of weapon you're using. So like a skeleton won't take hits very hard from a slashing weapon, but from a bludgeon weapon, a crushing weapon, they're going to take more damage from it. That's kind of cool. The effects of the creature, what they are made of, and what you're using on them are going to play a role. And then they also said, like, if it's cold outside, you will probably take damage from the cold, because anybody who's ever been outside before in the cold knows that if you get hit, even remotely, somebody just flicks your arm when it's, 30 degrees, it's going to hurt. It's going to sting a lot more than it normally would be if it's, nice and warm outside. So integrating that into the game just is that one more little flavor that most games kind of bypass. And that's what EverQuest really kind of integrated in there Yeah, very D&D like. Yeah, exactly. And that's EverQuest was kind of D&D in a lot of ways because they did think about those small little touches that when grouped together with a whole bunch of other small little touches became a very big thing that was hard for other games to replicate. I think they don't even try because they miss it. They're concentrating on the big stuff and they miss the tiny things that send it over the edge. It's the same thing that we kind of learned when we were kids. For those of you who played Dungeons and Dragons with a friend, you know, in a basement, a garage, the room where everybody kind of dressed up and played together. If you played it with other people and they weren't dressed up, it was still fun. If you played it with other people and they weren't changing their voice or going into the role play, it was still fun. But if you played it with people who did any of those things or all of those things, all of a sudden it took it over the edge and it was just like, oh, that's freaking amazing, you know, like that's cool. Like we can get into it and really make it a an experience rather than just a game we're playing. They're actually doing that with VR systems now. There's been some kind of, I don't know what to call them. They're like dinner parties that you can go to a restaurant, you can eat dinner, and they will bring in like six people into a room, and the room will be like covered in papers and documents, and you know they have like a mad scientist come in and he gives you the story. He's like, oh, you guys have to escape from this room in 15 minutes, otherwise it's going to explode, or you know the poison gas will get out, and you have to solve the puzzle of like where the key is or what the password is or whatever you know the goal is by like reading the clues on the walls, and you'll see like he'll kind of point you in the right direction to start with, and from there you have to solve one clue after another clue after another clue, and you do it as a group, so it's more like a interactive live role playing of Clue kind of brought to life. Zelda and Nintendo are bringing that into the aspect of you know the Zelda realm by doing the exact same thing. You're going to be brought into a room. They're doing it in different cities. They're coming to Houston, and I'm trying to order it, but they've been selling out within like 3 seconds of every city that they go to. So as soon as it gets here and they open it up for getting the tickets, then that is exactly what I'll you know be trying to do. But until they do that, I kind of have to hope that I get in there. But yeah, what they do is they bring you in and they have like all these little beakers and you know Zelda theme items on these tables that I'm guessing are all glued down so you don't bump into them when you put the VR headset on. And then once you put the VR headset on, you'll see like things come to life and little Zelda guys running around the table or whatever they end up doing with it. And you have to solve a Zelda themed mystery to complete the task. And like I think it's an hour or something like that. And you have up to six people in the room with you. So I mean that very much embodies what like D&D was, you know, and it's coming to more of the masses than it ever was before. You know, like a nerd was like a stereotype that people used at people or on people to insult them, and now it's becoming more of a I think it became a badge of honor, and now it's becoming more of just like, oh, everybody's a little bit of a nerd in a lot of ways, and mothers and fathers and older people and younger people, they're all like, yeah, we'll try these things out that the nerds had been using for so long and found to be incredibly enjoyable because it's good to sometimes, you know, act like a kid again, even though you know you got a lot of responsibilities, you gotta do what you gotta do, but you know it's nice to let loose every once in a while and act like a fool because you enjoy it. And that's kind of what those are. You're just like, yeah, I don't care how I look. You know, I'm having fun, and they're having fun, and that's really what it's all about in life. So they're doing those. I kind of hope they do the exact same thing in Pantheon, where they bring in those small touches, just like in D&D. WoW, Co-Dragon Hunt. Yeah, hoping that we get some dragons in here. We're still meeting up and waiting for the bard to get here. Let me go ahead and make Yato leader again because I completely forgot about that. Okay, so Yato is leader. So he does just a fire frontal, I believe. Yell does nothing. Okay. So I just gotta make sure I'm up on the heals, the complete heals, to make sure he doesn't die, which can be fairly difficult depending on how hard they hit him. But yeah, so the environmental effects is, you know, kind of get off track here and every once in a while. Do you host a talk radio show? I feel like you should host a talk radio show. No, I've never been on the radio, never done anything like that. I do from time to time get somebody who says I have a radio voice. It's you know, it's flattering actually that you guys say that kind of stuff, but I've never done anything like that. Maybe one day. I wouldn't mind trying it. Is he? What's he doing? He might be pulling. That's why he got rid of all that stuff. But Yeah, never been on the radio, unless of course you count Twitch, which is weird because I do videos for YouTube, and lately YouTube has actually been getting movies, like real movies, put on their site, and you can order them for like 99 cents or $1.50, depending on how new they are and how much they want to charge for it. Being on like the same, I guess you would call it network or affiliation with like movies is just like mind blowing because I never had any ambition to do that when I was a kid. I was always that guy that was pretty much good in whatever environment I was in, but I always kind of stayed in the back. I played sports. I was played football in college and in high school and junior high. I was also in the band, and I played D&D with my friends and played basketball as well. So it's just like I I didn't see those clicks that you see in the movies. I don't know if any of you had that in school. We never had that in any of the schools I went to, or maybe I was just oblivious to it. But we didn't have like, oh, you're part of the nerds, you're part of the jocks. You just went where your friends went, and that's what I did. So I was kind of just right down the middle of everything, and just like I hung out with the guys who played D&D, and I loved it. I played Magic the Gathering card game, and I played sports with I guess you call it the jocks, but they were just people, friends that I was playing football with, and I loved it. But it's just it's weird to see that in movies like 21 Jump Street or 22 Jump Street, I think is the sequel, where they go back and like all the kids are standing by their cars, and each one is like seriously taking on the personification to the umpth degree of where they fit in that society. So like all the cheerleaders are always wearing their cheerleading outfit, and all the jocks are always dressed in their Letterman jackets, and the nerds are always have like pocket protectors and glasses on. I'm like, it's just so stereotypical. I realize they're going for the laugh in that movie, so it makes sense. But at the same time, I never saw that in any of the schools that I went to, and I moved around quite a bit as a kid. I moved around probably about every 3 to 4 years, so I never really put down roots in any one place. I think that's why when I finally got older, the first thing I did, why most kids my age were like buying crap and wasting money. I bought a car and then put down a down payment on a house, and I stayed at that house since then. So I kind of wanted to put down those roots. Now that I've been here as long as I have, I kind of want to leave the neighborhood, because when I first got out here, it was a wide open area, lots of undeveloped land, and over the last 10 to 15 years, it's become this, I guess the only way to call it is a city. It's like I have this thoroughway through my neighborhood where 18-wheelers travel all the time. When I come out of my cul-de-sac in the morning, I have to sit there for about 10 minutes before I can actually pull out of my cul-de-sac, because the traffic is so bad. Because they've attached it on one side to I-10, which is, one of the major highways that goes through the country. And on the other side, they'd attached it to 99, which is another highway that they recently built that is extremely busy. So I don't live next to either one of those highways, but because there is that lane, the road that travels through neighborhoods to get to one or the other, people try to bypass the streets and they go right through the neighborhood, and it's just a nightmare. And all the houses that have sprung up around me, and they've built, Walmarts and grocery stores and theaters and everything that people really want, just has closed in around the house. And I'm just like, ugh, this is not that place I bought when I first moved in. I can kind of see why my parents, when I was younger, moved around from place to place, because they always try to move a little bit further outside the city, and the city just seems to keep swallowing up more and more area. It's not like New York. I hear New York is very small, but very large. Like it's huge skyscrapers. I've never been there myself, but sounds like Katie. Yeah, this Katie is where I live. It's exactly like Katie. But yeah, it's like New York is very small, very compact, but very big in a lot of regards. Whereas Houston or Katy is very spread out, lots and lots and lots of space. But as far as you keep going out, it just seems like it keeps coming to you, just like it's like this growth that never stops. And no matter how much you weed eat it, it's still coming for you. So yeah, I actually watch these shows, and I don't know what you guys think about those tiny houses. That's like a new movement going on, where it's kind of like a mobile home, but I think it's built better because you build it yourself most of the time, and you build it for your needs, and you build it at actually really good stuff. I'm not saying that mobile homes have anything wrong with them, but aluminum is aluminum, and if you put your tender loving care into your home, it's going to come out better than somebody else who's just building it because they're getting paid to do it. So watching these people build these houses that then could be picked up and moved and put down someplace else. And sometimes these houses are huge. Is kind of like an appealing thought to me. So I figured maybe one day I'll just sell this house and build one of those, and that way I can buy a nice piece of property out in the middle of nowhere. And in 10 years, when the city moves out to that piece of property, then I can just pick it up and move, and I don't have to build a new house. All the effort and time that I went into putting, marble floorings down like I did over here in this house doesn't really go to waste. Yeah, I am selling it, I'm making the money off of it, but if I'm putting my own effort into it, and as you get older, you realize that, uh, you know, cutting marble flooring and getting on your knees and doing all that stuff gets harder and harder for you to do. I want to be able to enjoy that for the rest of my life and look at that floor and be like, I built that. That's mine. That's my craftsmanship down there. Even though my craftsmanship is not like, I'm not as good as a professional by far, but I like when I can look at something and be like, I made that. Like I have some pride in that one. So I don't know. It's just kind of a unique little idea that I was throwing around. I don't know if I ever do it or not, but I live in New York City, Brooklyn. How do you like it, man? I mean, I guess some people grow up and they love the cities. I kind of grew up where I love my space. I mean, when you live in a neighborhood and you have an HOA, homeowners association, you leave your trash can out for like an hour longer than you're supposed to, and you get a letter in the mail. You don't cut your grass to the length that they like. I like my grass to be a little bit longer than most. Some people cut it down to like 2 inches. I like to be about 4 to 5 inches because I like the way it feels when you walk on it with no shoes on. And I like the fact when it gets really, really hot here, and it does, and you don't want to water your grass every day, it doesn't immediately burn up. But if it's at 2 inches and you have like a drought and you have a water ban, you can't water your grass anymore. You'll see brown spots on everybody's lawn. It turns really hard and it's horrible to walk on. You wouldn't want to walk on that for the life of you. So, the HOA is like, you got to cut it at 2 inches. And I'm like, that sucks. Like, let me cut it at the length that I want. I'm not saying that I want, a field of grass in my front yard or anything like that, but you're being so restrictive. When you move out in the middle of nowhere, you have no HOA and they can't tell you to do those things. So that's another reason I love the fact that, you can paint your house purple if you want. I mean, I have no problem with my neighbor having his house purple, but when you live in a neighborhood, everybody has a cookie cutter cutout house, and it gets a little ridiculous. My house was the only one because I had it. The neighborhood was being built when I first moved in, and I was able to get the house pretty cheap. It was only 50 grand when I first got it, and it's shot up to like 150 in the area now. But I got to pick out my design out of I think 12 designs that they were doing in the neighborhood, and I could make changes to that design. So I could go with like gray brick instead of red brick. I could go 2 story instead of 1 story. Blah blah blah. And so my house looks vastly different from any of the other houses on the neighborhood. Now that I'm thinking about it, because later on, once the construction companies got going, because I kind of got there before they even started the building. They just filled in the spots. Like even before anybody wanted them, they didn't wait for somebody to move in and be like, "Oh, I want that plot. I don't want this house. Go ahead and make it for me." No, they're like, "We'll just make a whole bunch of the same houses and then we'll sell those for a certain price." So every house on my cul-de-sac looks absolutely completely different from mine. They all look the same. So like mine stands out dramatically, and I'm the only one up with like a giant flag in my yard because I got two brothers in the Marine Corps, so I got that going up there. But I just like the fact that I got to pick it out myself. And if I had moved in after the fact, I wouldn't have got that. I wouldn't be able to do it. I couldn't change it after the fact either because the rules are so restrictive. So I don't know. It's kind of interesting. Have you seen the maps of 99 superimposed over the other city countries? It's pretty crazy. Can you link your YouTube? Sure. Let me see if I can find it real quick. Hopefully they don't go out and get killed while this is going on. Ba, 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 ba. Come on. There you go. If it will let me copy. There you go. Oh my god, really? Paste it. There you go, guys. Let me minimize this. Okay, so no, I haven't seen the maps of 99 superimposed yet. 99 is huge, huge. It's just going everywhere. It's too many people now. I moved to Texas. Oh, so you just moved to Texas? Oh, okay. What do you think so far of Texas compared to Brooklyn? I imagine. I don't know. I don't know what to imagine on that one. Like if you watch the old movies, Brooklyn was very dangerous, very dodgy. Had to be pretty hard to live there. And now I heard people making fun of it. Cinema Sins. I don't know if you guys ever watched that. They did an episode on I think it was Captain America: Civil War, and he made a comment in that one where he's like, "Why does Captain America keep making references to the fact that he lived in Brooklyn?" When Brooklyn, like the worst or the best thing you could say about that is like you'd have a bike and like three, bottles of wine on your fireplace mantle. Like it's gotten very California style, almost to the point where it's like very benign and doesn't really have any of that hard street cred anymore. So much space. Yeah, I love the space. Absolutely amazing. That's why I don't know if I could live anywhere else except for maybe Colorado. I think has a lot of space, and I would love the snow. Absolutely love to see snow. You never see it down here ever. So if you're one of those people who've like I've seen too much snow, I don't ever want to shovel my way out of a driveway or things in the morning, then your best bet is to come to Texas. I wouldn't say all of Texas because Dallas still gets several feet of snow on years. They get ice and things of that sort, whereas Houston gets none of that ever. So if you're looking for that, Houston would be your best bet. Katy is where most people tend to try to live if they work in Houston. It's almost kind of, I guess, like they talk about New York, where yeah, nobody really lives in New York. People travel into it for work, and then they come back out and they stay on the different areas surrounding it. So, hello, hey Wrath, how you doing, man? East Texas, Southwest Texas here for me. West Texas for you. Yeah, there we go. We got snow. You got snow in East Texas? Wow. All right. Well, you guys are lucky. I've only seen it like twice or three times in my entire life. I'm trying to think back what really counts for snow. Like I saw it once when I was a kid. I think when I was like 8 or 9. It fell from the sky, and about the time it got to your waist, it disappeared, and there was nothing on the ground. Like immediately melted if it even hit the ground at that point. Wow, they're kicking the crap out of this thing all by themselves. He's not taking any damage. May take a while for it to kill, but that's pretty amazing. Timmy, you got to save me. Sea Hill Smogs is for... my dots are poison and disease. Nibs is DPS and spot heals. You got save me, Sea Hills. Yeah. That's what I was doing. I was doing small little heals every once in a while, but... Maybe he's saying the fight's going to last so long that I should just save my mana for Sea Hills and nothing else. Alright, so we'll do that. Yeah, but we kind of... 2 foot few years ago, 1 foot... Oh, man, you guys are making me jealous. The fact that you're getting snow over there. I know some people are out there like, we get feet upon feet. There's some people I do videos with, like Chupa. He sent me a picture. He got a new grill not too long ago, and he was very excited to use it. And so he was like, I don't care what happens. Like, as soon as it comes in, because he'd been waiting for months to get a hold of this grill. Kind of looking at it online, doing his research. Then when he decided to actually, pop the money down and get it, it was like a custom order thing. So, you send in the money and they're like, okay, it's going to be ready in like 6 months or whatever. And you got to sit there and wait for it, which is a little nuts. But that's how some of those really nice things work. And so he finally got it in, and he got it in like a week before like winter was really coming in. And of course, the day he goes out there to barbecue, it's snowing. And they say something on the news like light flurries, and it comes in like really, really heavy. So he was still out there doing it. Even like it was a smoker though, so he didn't have to stay out there the whole time. Just kind of had to get it started, and then walk away from it, and make sure he checks on it every so often. I went to Maine and North Dakota about 11 years ago for work in the middle of January and saw more snow in those 2 weeks than I ever want to see. Yeah, I understand it has negative sides to it. The fact that some people say they actually have to leave their car on all night so that it doesn't freeze. That sounds horrible on the gas and everything else, but I guess there's probably a middle ground. Like I don't want to go to that full bore extreme. I'm not talking about let's go to Alaska and freeze our butts off in a matter of like 10 seconds. Like the cool running scenes where the guy's like, it's not so much the humidity, it's or the heat, it's the humidity that will kill you. Like I'm not saying let's go to that extreme, but there has to be a nice middle ground in certain cities or states where like you at least get the four seasons. I don't ever see the four seasons down here. I get winter, not winter. I get summer, with the occasional like right now. I think it looks like fall where I live. The trees are turning color, so we got some like purplish, reddish trees now. Some of them are losing their leaves, and other ones have completely lost their leaves. And then of course you have like the evergreens that just stay green all year round, no matter what type of weather you have, which tends to be the majority of the trees we have down here. It seems like, because it seems like they always have leaves on. They're green. Maybe it's just because we don't ever get any winter, but yeah, it just seems weird. Like we're getting a fall while everybody else is freezing their butts off and going through their winter. And then I see pictures like in the movie Big, where at the very end he's reverting back to a child and he's walking down that one street, and it's absolutely amazing to see like the leaf piles on everybody's yards and the different colors that's being brought out there. And yeah, of course you gotta go out there and rake the leaves because it sucks. Like there's downsides to it, but just being able to experience that even just a little bit is something that I've been denied living down here. So you kind of always the grass is greener on the other side until you get to experience it. The people who set up my travel itinerary didn't own an almanac. This is in the middle of January. I left El Paso, Texas on Sunday to Buffalo, New Jersey. Negative 30 degrees. Went to, I guess you're saying Houston, ME on Wednesday, negative 4. No, that's not Houston. Hamilton. Went to Rami, PR on Friday, 85 degrees. I got sick as a... Yeah. Imagine, man. When I was in high school, I did a lot of little jobs here and there. And one of them was working at a restaurant. And they had the big freezers that you had to walk into. And it was right next to where you would cook the food. So, working in the kitchen, it's hot. Like, really hot. You're sweating all day long. And they would require you to run into the freezer and get something out every so often. And the freezer, when you open it up, it's straight out of like a monster movie. You open that door, and I kid you not, barrels, not just like a little bit of moisture coming out, but barrels of this thick white fog mixing with the hot air and the moisture inside and the cold air. Just kind of barreled out at you, and it enveloped you to the point where people couldn't even see you. The moment you opened that door, it was on you. And that's with the big giant plastic, straps hanging down the front to kind of block as much as that as possible would be there. So it was, doing that back and forth all day long. I remember getting sick a lot, so I can definitely see how that would happen to you. Holton, Maine. Okay, so I've never been to Maine either. I've traveled a good little bit, been all the way to Florida and all the states in between, stopped and, saw some of the sites. I've been to California a number of times and stopped all the way and saw the sites. I've never really been to the north of the United States, so like Utah, and like I really wanted to see the Grand Canyon. I've been to Las Vegas and didn't go to San Francisco. Wanted to see San Francisco and check out Alcatraz and those kind of things, but never really got the time to go over there when I was visiting those areas. Couldn't even enjoy the beach in Puerto Rico. Oh, that sucks, man. It's like you're going to like that spot is really where people go to enjoy the beach, and you don't even get to do it because it's like the off season. And that at least you got to see it though, I guess in some way. You didn't get to experience it and have fun with it, but you got to see it. So I didn't even look to see how much experience we got on that one. But that was pretty easy. We got, an epic tank here because that seemed like I didn't really have to do anything. In fact, I could have done nothing at all if we had a bard for his heals, I guess. I mean, he was taking that few hits after the slows and everything else that were on him. Really, I guess for DPS, if we had anything else, we could have like a rogue in the background backstabbing him or something. But yeah, this is going to work out pretty well. Maybe fairly slow for those of you who are watching, but it gives me a chance to talk about other stuff that's going on. I kind of want to talk about Pantheon a little bit too, which is why we kind of brought that up at the beginning. But yeah, so many different things with that game that kind of intrigue me a little bit. And when they start talking about the different classes, especially if you read the forums, man, like even if the game is bad and like fails completely and it just meets nobody's expectations, the fact that it got people excited and started talking about the forums about the different class makeups. And these are people who played like EverQuest and Vanguard for sure. Those are the top two people that seem to be coming over to the forums. But then you got people from World of Warcraft and Dragon Ages Online and all these other MMOs out there that have done little tiny small changes in ways of creating character classes and figuring out what works and what doesn't work and what would be a unique idea to combine something from one game to another to make it work. That's what's going on in the forums. And it's very telling to see how people perceive a certain class. One of the main things that I see people wanting from a cleric, because that was the first thing I was like, oh, okay, I love clerics. I always play a cleric. Let me see what they are going to be talking about as far as cleric goes. The big discussion, like right off the bat, that you come across is should clerics be the only ones who get a res? And so many people want the res. I completely understand that side. They like paladins should get the res, shamans should get the res, druids should get the res, and then you got all the clerics who are like, nah, like reses are a class defining skill for clerics. Like it should only be for a cleric and nobody else. I was kind of torn on it because I started reading it. I wasn't just like, oh yeah, like immediately, clerics should be the only ones. I was like, I want to stay as much as partial on this one as possible because if you believe that a paladin should get it, they did eventually in live, and it was never as powerful as the clerics one was until much later on, and then they started putting in like AAs where you'd get 100% back all the time, and I don't know. It just became at that point I was no longer playing anymore. So it's kind of hard to say. Does it break the game for a cleric? Does it make them less useful? I don't think it would. I think as long as clerics, to me in my mind, or priest class in my mind, have the best heals, that's what makes you the defining class. Like that's what gives you that ability to be the best. So as long as I get complete heal and nobody else gets complete heal, then I'm good because I am still the best healer in the game. However, then as I read further and further down, you had other people who were saying, paladins, especially shamans, should also get complete heal. And that's where I kind of drew the line. I was like, well, if shamans get complete heal and paladins get complete heal and they also get res, then what does a cleric have different from those other classes? Pretty much absolutely nothing. Like you're taking the two things that make a cleric and then giving me nothing in return because clerics can't tank like a paladin can, so it'd be better just to play a paladin. And we can't buff or tank like a shaman can, so it would be better to play a paladin or a shaman. Basically, just throw the clerics in the garbage because they'd be completely useless. That's where I was like, that you're kind of asking for a little bit too much. And there was lots and lots of arguments in there about like who should get what on those. And I was like, okay, well, after I read about a page and a half, I was like, let me go to the other sections. Let me see what the arguments are on the other side of some of the other classes. So I went over to Enchanters. And I'm like, oh, okay, this is going to be interesting, right? I never played an Enchanter. I know I love them. They have a lot of unique skills. Let's see what they're talking about when they're hoping that Enchanters will get something here. The main thing that I saw from Enchanters is that they wanted a mage pet, which just kind of blew my mind. I was like, why? Like, I understand it's easier, but one of the cool things about Enchanters is you get to charm mobs like nobody else can. You get to take a mob that's extremely hard to kill with an entire group, sometimes an entire raid force. Like, I've seen Nibris, who's an Enchanter here on the server on P99. I've seen him charm a mob that raid forces have problems killing. And then he uses that mob to kill other mobs that just like spank it. Like he kills things that you should not be able to kill solo, but he can because he knows what he's doing. He's skilled, he has the equipment, and he's put in the time and the effort to figure out how to do it. So it just kind of boggles my mind why they would want a mage pet. But it seemed like they were very adamant about it. And mages were like, no, you can't take our pets, because if you take our pets, then basically they were saying the same thing like a cleric was. What do we become? We become a wizard, and you already have a lot of the spells that casters get anyways, and you have all these other ones. Have any time for a res and SG? Can't at the moment. Killing dragons. I think in case of clerics would have longevity over other classes, but I still think I'd agree with you. Yeah, I mean, I guess you could do it that way, that they would just have more mana pool, and maybe the heal spells would be more efficient. But man, that's such a little gain that unless it was just so mana inefficient for the other classes, like I'm talking about like a complete heal taking your entire mana pool as a monk, or not a monk, a paladin or a shaman. Just like one complete heal takes all of your mana. Whereas with a cleric, it takes like 5%. You know, like if it was that big of a change, then yeah, like clerics would definitely still be able to roll out. You would get your spells, but it would seem more like a jab in your face of like you want the spell, well here it is, but you can never use it. And so people would be more angry about that than anything else. And I think once you give them the spell, people would be like, you know, it's like give a mouse a cookie. Now that you gave them the spell, hey, let's complain until you make it more mana efficient. You know, it's like making a law. Once you make a law, it's very hard to undo the law. Whereas if you just don't give it to them, you know, it's a lot easier to just be like, well, you don't have that spell, and you're never going to get that spell, so kind of live with it. And people accept it, I think, at some point. Mike isn't working for some reason. No, I'm sorry. Yeah, but, you know, with the enchanters and the mages, kind of going back and forth on that one. So it seems like a lot of people out there, I hate to say don't understand, but in my mind, I feel like they don't understand that there should be a give and a take. Like I played games, you know, like I look at like the Mass Effect series. Mass Effect series, amazing game. I love it. It's a great solo game, but if you made that character as strong as he is in that game in an MMO, what would I need anybody else for? Because he in that game, he does rely on his other members, you know, the other, you know, Talia and all the other guys you can bring in there, but he can solo the mission pretty much by himself, and sometimes a lot better than you can with other people when they're getting in the way. So having having a character that is the end all be all works in solo. It doesn't work in an MMO, and I think a lot of people bring in those mindsets. I want to be, you know, a god. I want to be the end all be all. I want to be able to solo. I want to be able to heal. I want to be able to tank. You know, I want to be able to do DPS. Without realizing that by doing that, you make it a very independent game where people don't group together. Because why would I? You saw that with Everquest when they initiated the what were they? The stupid class that I hate the most, Beast Lords. You know, they put in Beast Lords, and they were the best of both worlds. They weren't nerfed in any way, shape, or form, really, other than like one or two spells that they didn't get. You know, they were just as good DPS as a monk, and just as good DPS as a shaman. Both of those classes are amazing DPS, and you're basically adding both of those together. So a shaman and a monk grouped together with one person playing both of them is crazy. And you could see it in that everybody was switched over to play Beast Lord. You know, Beast Lords were camping items that only groups used to be able to camp, and they were just uber. I don't like a class that doesn't give anything up. Like with Shadow Knights or a Paladin, they're a hybrid, but they can't tank as well as a warrior can, and you see that in in-game more than anything else, where they don't even have Paladins or Shadow Knights tank in-game bosses. Always a warrior. Warriors are always the number one tank, and the other ones, for better or worse, kind of get left out in the cold a little bit. They're always like off tanks that tank, you know, mobs that spawn because you got to a certain percentage of life, and they run them off in a corner and sit there and keep them up for as long as they can. That is the way this game works, and I think it works fairly well. They also can't heal, like for a paladin, can't heal as well as a cleric, obviously. It's not as mana efficient. By the time they get a lot of their spells, the healing that they can do is minute, if anything at all. You know, a lot of people complained about that in the old days. I know for my Shadow Knight complained because they were so nerfed, they were so, you know, at a disadvantage. It felt like they were just being picked on, and they eventually made changes to it, which I think made it better. You know, some of the changes by the time they got to Veliz made the Shadow Knights a lot more tolerable, and they were able to do things, but they never became as powerful as a lot of the other classes, and I'm okay with that. You know, especially looking back on it, I'm like, they shouldn't have been, you know, even close to being as powerful as some of those other classes, and they never really got to that point. I think as a Beast Lord, man, how dare you? Yeah, I can't wait for Pantheon. Yeah, you know, that's what we're kind of talking about, because they did say next year in the first or the second quarter, so I was telling Chupa, in my mind, when a company says first or second quarter of next year, I'm thinking in like 5 years is when they're finally going to come out. Just because that's how it used to be. Like when Blizzard used to tell you, oh, there's another RTS of Warcraft coming out, and it's going to come out in 1997, and it's like that's a year off from where they're saying. I'm like, yeah, yeah. So in like 5 years, you're going to be done with the game, is what you're telling me, because you never come out with it on time. But nowadays, it seems like they do. It seems like if they tell you it's going to come out by August, it will come out by August. It won't be anywhere close to being ready. The console will be broken. You'll have to send it in and get the 3 red lights of death fixed, or one of like 25% of the units that they shipped out will have some kind of defect day one. So they get it on the day, but it's broken. So with a video game, it's going to be kind of the same thing. They may come out with it when they say they're going to be to, but it's probably not going to work as well as it should, or as well as they want to, obviously. But yeah, I'm always a little pessimistic when they give me a date, because game companies are notorious for never being able to keep those dates, ever. Not even close. I like how they made climbing skill. See, I haven't seen the new video yet. It's a 3-hour video, and I got about 20 minutes into it before something came up, and I haven't been able to watch the rest of it. I know they talked about the shamans in that one. I did watch the video where Super Bits and Bob was talking about that one, and I kind of get where he was coming from. A lot of people were giving him flack on the one video where he was talking about it, because he mentioned that he wished that they had given a smaller YouTuber a chance. And I know where he's coming from, because he's like, I think he wants to play it a lot. And as a person who loves the shaman class, I think it would be really good for him to have the ability to go in there. I think he just needs to be patient. I don't think the company is forgetting the small YouTubers out there, but I think they have to make choices. And they're trying to raise capital, for better or worse, whatever you think of that system. They're trying to raise capital to finish off the game, and to do that, they need publicity. And to get publicity, they need eyes on, and that means a big channel, a channel with a lot of viewers, where they can get hundreds of thousands of people to see a video game that they may never have been aware of and probably wouldn't have come across it on their own. It's like advertising. Like, you go where the viewership is, and you pay more money for it. That's, I think, why they chose that guy. And maybe also because he was right up their alley. Like, they agreed with his personality. They liked the way he did his videos. A lot of little things that they threw in there. I never watched that guy. I don't know anything about him. So I'm not like, he's a great guy and he's or a bad guy. I don't know, anything about his stuff. But, looking at it from Super Bits and Bob's point of view, like, I get it. There's a lot of games when I was first starting out that I was like, oh, I really want to play that one. And I would send the company a message. I'd be like, hey, I'm a YouTuber. I got some videos up, and I would love to be able to review your game. Can I get permission to, put your videos up on YouTube and blah, blah, blah. And some of them would outright be like, no, you're not going to have permission. Some would be like, yeah, you have permission, but we're not going to send you a key for it. Like, you're going to have to buy the game like anybody else. That is just part of being a small YouTube channel. Like, you're gonna go through that. And the big companies out there, Blizzard, Sony, those guys, they're used to dealing with channels that have tens of thousands, if hundreds of thousands, or millions of subscribers, and those are the ones that they deal with. Why? Because they can. Like, if you have only a limited number of keys to give out, because you don't want to give out hundreds of thousands of keys, and they end up who knows where out there. If you only have 10,000 keys to give out, and you have 10,000 big YouTube channels asking for them, and then you have 100,000 small YouTube channels asking for them, most likely the big channels are going to get the keys. And maybe a few, a couple hundred might be tossed towards the little guys and be like, oh, some of these guys are up and coming, throw it out there to different category YouTuber that may be for a different audience than we're kind of advertising with these other guys, and we'll see how it goes. Like, sometimes they can surprise you, the small guys. But you got to expect that. It's the same thing with any kind of business. If you're a small company, you're not going to get the same kind of recognition. He knows that, but I think he got a lot of flack because of the way he kind of came across to some people who immediately jumped on him for saying that the other guys shouldn't have got it. And I think they kind of misunderstood what he was trying to come across and say. I don't think he was trying to badmouth the other YouTuber. He was just coming across and saying, like, I wish I had gotten it. Like, and I can't blame him for that, because I wish I had gotten it for free too, but I paid $100 to get into it, and I'm still waiting to be able to play. So there's that side of, oh man, come on, let me play it already. Like, I can't wait. And you know, I think he's going through that a little bit too. He watches the videos, and I think it came out exactly after the video came out, when he was probably really excited about the shaman class. Like, he liked what he saw in that, apparently, which makes me want to watch the video even more because, like I said, he's huge into shamans. If any of you have ever watched his channel, and if you guys out there who are watching haven't watched it, you definitely should go check out his YouTube channel. It's Super Bits and Bob out there on YouTube. And he has pretty much every race of shaman, and it blows my mind that that he would play that many shamans. Like, he like literally will start another character that's a barbarian, an ogre, you know, every single race except for Ixars. And I think, you know, we kind of spitballed. I never actually asked, you know, why he never played an Ixar, but we kind of spitball like why maybe he doesn't play that one. I think what it is the JBB, the bone bracer, can't be worn because it's plate by an Ixar. So it's a very powerful tool in the shaman arsenal, and it seems like you're denying yourself the ability to use that at higher levels if you play an Ixar. But they get a higher health regeneration, which should pretty much help out with your canning back and forth. I don't see a lot of Ixar shamans, though, to be honest. Like, I see a lot of barbarians and a few ogres, and each time you play a different race, it will turn you into a different color polar bear when you're done. So, like, you see Smogs over here is a brown bear. If you play a barbarian, you're a polar bear. You're a white one. There's a black one, like you can see the guy over there in the background. He's a black polar bear, kind of dead on the ground. Yeah, so there's different color ones out there. Again, that's like the flavor text and of the game, to be able to say you're playing the same class, but just because you picked a different race, we're just gonna throw in a different color. And sometimes it's not even like just a different color. They actually seem to have different textures. Sometimes some of them are a little bit bigger or smaller than other ones. So again, they went another little mile further than they had to by creating a completely new character model just for that. And there's a mob coming, so let me get the get the crap out of the way so I don't get hit for sitting down. And we will start another one of these guys here, which seemed to be fairly easy last time. Let me change my angle so that we can see what we're doing here. One of the hardest things to do is to get set up here. The tank has all that work to do that. He has to bring the mob half into the water and half out of the water. That will allow the area effect that they do, if they have an area effect, to kind of glitch out in some ways. And the way that works is Yato has torpor on him. Okay. Actually, I don't hear the sound of my voice the entire time I'm playing. I have a headset on, so I hear the game, and sometimes I have to talk over myself, or talk over the sound of the game in my headset right now. So, yeah, I don't hear my voice at all. And if I did, I probably wouldn't talk very much, because, no, I really don't like to hear myself talk. I love to interview other people. If you guys watch the show, most of the time I tend to ask them questions like, oh, what do you think of that class? And what do you think of that class? Or where would you prefer to go? And then sit back and let them listen. Because when I do these videos by myself, which I don't have a problem doing, but when I do these videos by myself, they can be pretty hard. 5 hours of talking nonstop is rough on the voice. And I kind of had to build myself into it when I first started the channel. I would do about an hour, and an hour nonstop of talking, my voice would be shot for like the next 2 days. It would be sore. I have never done anything like that. I didn't know that you had to like train your vocal cords to talk longer. I talk throughout the day, and an hour talking doesn't sound that hard. It seems like somewhat of an easy thing to do, but it's definitely not. And then once I started doing more and more videos, I started talking for longer and longer periods of time. And it got so rough. I think I did a 5 hour or 6 hour day once, and I wasn't able to talk for a week afterwards. Like I sounded like a little mouse. I was just whispering to people. Ugh, it was horrible. It was one of the worst experiences. Going through a week without being able to really communicate with anybody, without feeling pain of just opening my mouth. And so, yeah, after that, I started researching, things that you can do, drinking tea and lemon and, yeah. And so now when I do videos with other people, I feel like I'm on a break. Like I got, like I got help. I can just sit back and and be like, "You talk for a little bit, right?" I'm like, I'll point it at you and be like, "What do you think of that topic?" And let them try to go off on a tangent if they can. But some people they don't talk very much, and I'll get like 2 or 3 words out of them, and then they'll stop talking. And one of the biggest things I have that's kind of a setback for me is once I get going in a conversation, I can keep it going like forever. But if I get interrupted, like somebody else jumps in and they do they want to say something, I don't have a problem with that. But if they stop immediately after saying like their 3 or 4 sentences, my brain hasn't picked back up yet. I've gone already on like relaxation mode, and I'm just watching the game and reading the comments and looking at the chat channel, and they stop, and I'm kind of like flabbergasted. I'm like, oh, okay, so yeah, I don't know what to say next, but let's figure something out. Let's see. Oh, baby, got a bracer of the hidden to drop finally. Oh, congrats, man. I've been needing to get one of those for a long time now, but they're expensive, man. 7K is not a cheap price. I used to be an instructor. That's why I had that trip to all those places I listed and had to get used to talking also. So what was your trick? Did you have one? Something that seemed to work fairly well for you? Because I still, from time to time, have my voice just kind of give out on me. Like it just doesn't seem like it wants to cooperate at certain days, which is why sometimes you'll see me on, guys, and I'm not streaming because it's just like I got to take a break for the day and not be able to do anything. What do you think of lemons? What do you mean? What do I think of lemons? I don't know if it works. Putting lemon in tea was weird. Like I've never put lemon in my tea to that extreme, like one little slice of lemon or something for the most part, but not. Yeah, I don't know. It wasn't something I could see myself doing for a long period of time. Used to ask for class participation. Yeah, that would be nice. Let's see. Reporting cheating is not allowed. That would help give me a rest. Yeah, so yeah, it's definitely nice to have a little bit of help in that every once in a while. I don't know why they're dragging it out there. Is it running? I guess it is at 16%. What do you mean report cheating is not allowed? Of course it's allowed. You're more than welcome to report any type of abuse in the game. If you have video evidence of it, it's a lot more useful. If you don't, then it's pretty much your word against theirs, unless there's some sort of client record of what you're trying to say the other person is doing, which does not always work. I see. How much dex does your ogre have? Once I get epic on my shaman, I'm making an ogre warrior and focusing on dexed items. My warrior is fitted out with a Rygor armor for the Rygor fort over in. Oh man, what's the one in between Iceclad and Great Divide? I always forget the name of the zone. It starts with a W, I think. It's not Western Waste. It's I don't know, but you guys know which one I'm talking about. We've hunted over there enough times that you're probably familiar with it. EW, there you go. But yeah, so he's outfitted with that, and a few of those pieces give dexterity. He also has a few items that give dexterity as well, but it doesn't get him over 106. Like that's where he's at, and it's kind of unfortunate because I need to get him a cape or a cloak that has the dex. I think there's one that has like 13 dexterity on it that you can get from Soul B. And then there's a belt that I've seen. I think it's the Dragonborn Sash or something like that. That's super expensive. It has haste on it, and it also has a fair bit of dexterity on it. And those two items alone should get him up to I think like 130 on his dex, which I hear is the magic number. I hear anything past 130 dex doesn't really play a huge role in your procking, but getting up to 130 is where like your procking just goes crazy, goes mad, and that's going to be kind of cool. So if you're going for that, there's some stuff out there that definitely will give it to you. I had somebody in the video last night link a pair of pants, and I think they were Dragonborn as well. They're kind of like a light bluish pair of pants, and they had 29 AC on them, a fair bit of dex, and I think a little bit of stamina. That would have been a really good warrior twink item to give them, especially if you're going to go with weapons that you need to proc. The AC on them is outstanding. That's You're probably not going to find anything higher than like 29 AC on on a pair of pants unless you're going with TOV armor or something. Yeah, but it's I'm not even close to these guys right now. It's at 0%. Did they kill it? Yeah, they finally killed. There you go. Claws of Machines got worse. Chromax got better. Let's see. Okay, so they got a 4-1 on there. Dragon Spine. Vambraces? Ooh, that's not bad. Spell Augmentation. And Cleric 55. Stun Command. I think I have that one already, don't I? Let's see. Yeah, I got Stun Command. Okay, who needs 4 type X? So yeah, I don't need that one. Augmentation of Death. Shadow Knight, 255. I love how they put that in there. Like, basically, that's like, you're never going to get that spell. Yeah, I'm in the experience group, so I'll get experience for the kill, even if I'm really, really far away. 55 Necro spell, though. Smugs. Random for arms when time comes. Yeah, those are cool. Those aren't bad. Strength and ACE. Not sure. I don't know what I have. I think I have Rygor on my warrior sleeve, so I'd have to look at the stats on them. But yeah, those talismans right there are really, really nice. For those of you who have never gotten one, they have the 4s, they have the 5s, the 6s, and I believe they have a 7. But I think the 7 is super rare, and it's off of a mob that's also used for the Vasheen's Peak key. So again, I could be mistaken, but I think that's what I heard is those. Let's see, are we gonna med back up? Because I didn't use any mana on that one, man. I kind of feel bad that I didn't even do anything. I mean, I healed a few times, but not a whole lot. Sure. Random 500. 410. Wow, did I win? Holy crap. That's crazy. I actually had a good roll. Jeez. Thanks, guys. I appreciate it. I never win anything, so yeah, it's fantastic. Like I said, guys, this is Velocity Shift right here for the majority of the part. And I am, part of a different guild with my Cleric, but I do have my Monk in Velocity Shift. And Yato is the guy that that brings me out. He lets me know that stuff's going on. He's like, hey, do you want to come join us? I think that's fantastic. Like I haven't really had that experience with any guild since I've been on the server, and the fact that I have that with Velocity Shift makes me wish that my Monk was played more often. But I understand that my Cleric is more use in a lot of situations, and I'm glad that they don't mind me coming out here with my Cleric, even though he's not part of the guild. So some guilds will definitely have a problem with that. They're like, if you're not part of the guild, I don't care if you got another character in there, we're not letting you be participate in the raid. And he's not like that, and the guild's not like that. They definitely let me come out and be a part of it. And I went to the Plane of Hate with them, and when items dropped that nobody needed, they were like, you can have all these items. And I got a breastplate from the Plane of Hate, and I got a pair of bracers from Plane of Hate. So it's really, really nice. No, they're not. They're not in Paragon Shift or Paradigm Shift. Paradigm Shift is a new guild that I joined, and one of the main reasons I joined it is because Cypher Deck, one of our friends that we do videos with, is in that guild, and he doesn't get to play very often. He has his work schedule and where he can get internet. He lives out in the middle of the woods, so when he does get internet, he likes to make the most time out of it. He also likes to hang out with us, but because he likes to go on raids when he can, what ended up happening was, we weren't able to hang out with him because he was going on raids. And I was like, that's kind of sucks. He's a friend of mine. I like hanging out with him. It'd be nice if I can get at least one character in his guild. His guild goes to places that are very high up, so that's why I put my Cleric in there. It's the highest level character I have, and I'm able to, kind of hang out with the guy because of it. So, that's the main reason I joined. They're also a pretty good guild. I mean, I really haven't had a lot of experiences with them except for the raids that we've gone on, but they seem like a cool bunch of people. They aren't pushy. They don't, say that you have to go on raids, or you have to do this, you have to do that. They're just kind of like, let's come out, let's have some fun on the raids, and they do a lot of raids throughout the week. And I'm gonna say raids as many possible times as I can, apparently, in the sentence, but it's a little nuts. Let's see, 20 wisdom, 20 stamina. No, I did not. What is that? Good for pallies too. I don't know what they're talking about. ETA, 15 minutes. Oh, sorry, I must have missed something. Can I get HP buffs without a permit? Sure. Let's do Heroic Bond. Symbols, there we go. Yeah, I should have been doing this earlier, but when we first got here, they buffed everybody up, and to be honest, I figured mine wouldn't be nearly as good as a level 60 paladin. Given the fact that I get one or two more improvements to my spells as I get higher, ageism being the number one at level 60 that paladins won't ever get. But until that point, he might actually have close to or the exact same buffs that I have, having never played a paladin up to this point. I got a level 16 paladin, 15 paladin maybe. He's over in Unrest, and he's pretty much able to solo all by himself, which is fairly cool. I like it. We need poison and disease resist. Let me go ahead and give people that. Poison and disease. Magic. Okay, so this is going to take a little bit of my mana. Actually, we have a druid, so never mind. He's going to do Circle of Winter. Actually, do they get a diseased one? They might not get a diseased one. I know they get Circle of Winter and Circle of Summer, but I don't think they get the disease. I don't think anybody gets a group disease one, do they? I know Enchanters get a group magic. I was racking my brain here, but I can't think of anybody who gets a group disease. Having not done a lot of raids since I've been back, I am kind of rusty on these things. Alright, disease and poison. I love the bard song is in the background. Standing up casting spells. Of course, these don't take a lot of mana, but normally I would lose a little bit less, like 1% to 2% per cast. And the mana song is keeping up with me, keeping me at 60. Yeah, I don't know. Oh, now they're saying they don't actually need it for him. It's alright, I'll finish up. Your level 55 druid does not have a group disease. Okay, so if anybody gets it, it might be the cleric, but as far as I know from reading in there, I don't remember seeing it. So that's probably not going to be a thing, to be honest. That's just going to be one of those each individual ones. Just waiting on her path by here. Tough pull. Alright, so I'm good. Just need to med up now. But, like when we were talking about Pantheon, one of the other things that they were talking about as far as environmental effects. And, of course, it's hard because when I talk about these games, I have to keep coming back to the same examples again and again because there's not a lot of videos for it. And until they open it up to, the people who paid $100, I think there's going to be a lot of people streaming that at that point. So there's going to be tons more videos for you to watch. You don't have to watch mine, but there's going to be a gazillion of them out there, I imagine, at that point. until there is, like right now, I think there's only like 4 or 5 videos total for the game. So that's all I have to go based on. The forums are another way of basing what you can kind of imagine them going with, but the forums are very iffy because even they say it in there. The stuff we say in here usually is not definitive, and the stuff that we kind of say might actually be sometimes will change as time goes on. So I tend to say if they put it into the game and is actually working in the model that they have right now, that's pretty close to as set as you're gonna get, and something that you can kind of talk about and rely on and be like, okay, this is the way it is, and maybe we can change it this way and that way. But yeah, they showed in one of the very first videos when they were going from basically one zone to the next zone. And I didn't see any zonage, so there's no load-in screens as far as I can tell, which is going to be interesting to see how aggro works in that. Because Everquest 2 has the ability where you can get aggro on a mob, run away. Usually it's like 20 yards to 50 yards, depending on how high level the mob is and how tough they want to make it, because it does change from like lower level zones to higher level ones. As you run away from the mob, you eventually reach the end of that leash, and it stops chasing you and says, "Oh, you're no longer worth it. I'm going back to my spawn point." There is zoning. Okay, well then maybe they will have it where it travels after you zone wide. I really hope that they do. I think that aspect of a game gives a unique flavor to it that has consequences for your actions. EverQuest 2, I didn't mind exploring a zone that I had never explored before. For one, when you die in that game, you immediately spawn back at a safe point, pretty much in the exact same zone that you're in, next to the same area that you're in. So, like if you're in a quadrant on an island, you're gonna come back in that island. You don't come back in like Freeport in like 4 zones over, and you come back with all your equipment on you. And they're just kind of slightly damaged, so you have to repair it. And to repair armor is not even that expensive. Even at higher levels, when you start getting better and better stuff, you make so much money off of the mobs that it's always pocket change, like literally just like copper in your mine. So there's no penalty whatsoever for dying in that game. You do get a penalty of experience debt, but it's not experience loss. You can never lose a level in that one. You can die and die and die and die, and you will have 14, 20, 30% experience debt. And the way experience debt works in that one is when you earn experience, a portion, not all of it, but a portion of that experience goes to paying off your experience debt. So if you earn 1,000 experience points, yeah, let's say 20% of that, so 200 experience points, will go towards your experience debt, and the rest will go towards you leveling. So you could have 60% experience debt and still level while you kill things. Also, when you log out, for every hour you're off, you lose like 1% of your experience debt. So if you're having a bad day and you get all this experience debt, log off for the night, come back the next day, 10, 15 hours later, and all your experience debt is gone, and you're ready to, earn experience. Also, you build up double vitality by being offline, which gives you more experience per kill for every, double vitality experience point that you have, which, again, is kind of earned by the hours that you're off. So it's very easy to level in that one. There's not a lot of downside to dying. And so you can go into a zone and be like, oh, there's like, 15 mobs over there. Can I skate around them? And if you get attacked, you can just run away from them. Sometimes you can just run straight through them if you're fast enough, and you're outrun their leash, and there's no downside. Like, I don't need to kill those mobs. I'm lazy. I don't need to work my way through the zone. I just need to run faster. And it's interesting to explore, but it definitely takes away what this game does. The challenge of this game, saying that I don't care how good you are, if you can't find a way to kill that mob, or you don't have somebody who's willing to sacrifice themselves so that they get aggro on that mob, pull them off to the side, maybe feign death later on if they can feign it, or something while you run by and skate across, work together as a team, then you're not getting across that. And I think giving people those challenges and making it where they can't do it on their own brings the community together in a way that I see a lot of other games, they don't even come close. Like the community's broken, or it was never even there. People go about their own stuff, their own business. That's one of the reasons I stopped playing on live, is what I noticed is people would log on, they would be on for a few hours, and then they log off, and in that amount of time that they were on, they never once made contact with anybody else. That's sad. Like, that's not an MMO. That's a single player game. I log on to Mass Effect, I don't make contact with anybody else because it's a single player game. If I logged on to Halo and I went to play multiplayer, I would imagine that I would get shot immediately by somebody else because that's what you went in there for. If you logged on to Halo, multiplayer, and you didn't see anybody for 2 hours, it would be boring as crap because that's why you were going in there to play with other people. And so I just don't understand that mindset of creating an MMO where you're not literally forcing people at every step of the way. Because people, and when I kind of speak for myself in this regard, are, I think a little bit lazy. And, life happens. You log on, you're like, oh, I only have an hour to play. I want to get something done. You'd probably rather sit there and do something on your own rather than sit in a zone and wait 15 minutes to get into a group. If you could do 15 minutes soloing rather than 15 minutes sitting there doing nothing, then you're going to probably do the soloing. But if you take that option off of the table, I can't solo. I have to sit there and wait. You get groups to be formed and you get things to go on and you make friends and you make a community that relies on each other. I just think it's worthwhile to do it that way, but I could be completely wrong. They didn't show res and ports yet. My druid never grouped in 54 levels. My first group was with y'all and KO. Yeah, there's certain classes out there that can they can get through the entire game without grouping. But even with that said, I'm pretty sure with the level 54 druid, you probably interacted with the community in some way. So groups may not have been your thing, but ports. People need ports, and it's a good way for a druid to make money. So you probably interacted with people that way. You probably seen, corpse runs of people butt naked, didn't have any money to pay you, and be like, hey, can I get a port anyways? And you might have helped them out. You might have snubbed them. Either way, you were part of the community in that regard. Also, you have people buying stuff. There's no broker that you can go to that's a machine that says, okay, here's the items for sale. I don't need to interact with anybody. In this game, if you want to buy something for somebody, you have to go to the physical person and be like, hey, I'll buy that for 50 plat. And they'd be like, no, I want 75. And you'd be like, well, maybe 60. And they're like, well, how about 65? And, you can sit there and barter with them. It's a live system and not a, computer device doing it for you. So there's interaction at every step of the way. I just kind of picked one thing with the grouping, but this game forces you. And if you die in a very hard spot, trying to get your body back at certain levels can be impossible for you to do unless you get help. It is nice to solo in MMOs because you are, it's more of a living world even if you are not social. I mean, it's true, but I do like it when the environment is there for the people can be part of it and not just kind of looking at it. Like I do understand there's the social part of it that you can still get even if you're soloing, but if you solo all the time, you never get to see, well, not solo. If you're by yourself, I should say, not solo, but if you're by yourself all the time, you miss out on a huge part of the community. So you got to interact in some way. So like the people who solo, like I was saying, they're doing the teleports. They sell their services for reses or whatever, but they're still part of the community. But in other games I've seen out there, they literally get on in the morning, they play all day, and they get off, and they never once talk to anybody. They never once see anybody, and they never once be part of the community. And that's not what EQ is about. Hey, Nibris, how you doing, man? Did you ever play Star Wars Galaxy? Yes, I did. I liked it. I did like the fact that they kind of incorporated something like Everquest had, which is the leveling of your skills. So, like, if you were wearing a sniper rifle and you used your sniper rifle, you leveled up in that sniper rifle, rather than some of the single-player campaign games out there where you pick up a weapon, you're just as good as you're ever going to be with it. There's no skill sets in it. So there's a few things like that I liked. I did like the interaction. If you were going to get healed up, you could go all the way back to the cantina and see people dancing on the tables. And I think you got healed from that. It's been a long time since I played. Okay, someone had to res this guy. Yado. Love Galaxies. The reason I stopped playing EQ way back in the day was to play Galaxies. Yeah, that did come out fairly soon right afterwards. I don't know if Galaxies could have kept my attention had I not already been playing Everquest. So if I hadn't played Everquest and I saw Galaxies, whether it would have captivated me as much. Like, I like Star Wars, but I tend to like the universe of medieval fantasy a little bit more. It kind of opens itself up. It doesn't paint itself into a box as much as I think a Star Wars one kind of has to, because they're limited by the storyline that they had before, and of course because they are making movies and more video games afterwards, where they're allowed to go with the story and what stories they're allowed to tell. It's almost like when they make a Star Trek video game, like Star Trek Online. The stories that you're getting for each and every one of the expansions is following along with the movies, following along with the TV shows, and the books. So you don't really get original stories, you just get a rehash of those existing ones, which, is not bad, but it definitely is different because in this one, you get completely unique stories. Like they don't have to follow any one particular set of patterns that you're aware of. When Canard came out, people were like, "Wow, that's cool." Like that's completely new. It's not something that was seen coming. They give you little hints here and there, but beyond that, City of Heroes was a pretty cool one. I played that one only for a very short time, but I do have a lot of friends who play that one for a lot longer, and they loved it. So it'd be fun to see them do an emulator for that one again. And from what I heard, the one downside to that one is they pretty much just stopped supporting it to where the community just died out altogether. Love the harvesting and trade skills in Galaxy. The fact that you could get legit, be a performer in a cantina and still level up. Yeah, like that's again, just bringing that unique aspect into the game. I'll wait on symbols until he gets some junk buffs on there, but they hate me now. I bet he's been killing a lot of these dragons. But yeah, we're just kind of chilling over here, guys, in Western Ways, killing some dragons. We got a few drops already, a couple spells. I think there was a Cleric spell, Stun Command, and a Shadow Knight Necro spell that dropped. And then I won the random on the heavy Dragonspine Fan Braces, which will probably go to my warrior, to be honest. 17 AC, 10 strength is hard to pass up. 6 resist to disease. I can't really think of anybody else who could use that. Like strength is not a primary stat for most races. I guess maybe a rogue. That might be pretty good for a rogue, actually. The higher strength wouldn't be too bad. And the resist to disease, I guess, is just an added bonus, really, in some zones. But probably going to go to my warrior at first. And then once he gets better, if he gets to KO alarm or something like that, then I'll go to my rogue. I usually don't roll on things if I'm not going to use them. But yeah, they're really nice. I like them. Could use a good pair of pants, though, to be honest. My ogre is wearing Rygor, and one of the things about the Rygor is it looks like chain. And the pants look like... I compare them to Marine Corps shorts. If any of you guys, serve in the military or know somebody who served in the military and you've seen the shorts, or if you've watched the movie Heartbreak Ridge with Clint Eastwood, you know exactly what type of shorts I'm talking about. They're the ones that look like briefs, but very tight and been washed like a million times on shrinkage mode. they are like I don't get why they wear those, but yeah, they definitely have a look. And my ogre has a pair of shorts like that on him right now. They're pants, but because he's an ogre, they have that look to him, and it just every single time I look at him, I think of my brothers because 2 of them are in the Marine Corps, and I've seen them in those shorts before, and it's just like you can't really laugh at a Marine, but if you could, those would be the shorts that you would laugh at them in. Yeah, because they're just like, why? They don't get in the way, I guess, is the whole thing. They don't get snagged on anything. They look good on females, yeah. I guess. I'm trying to think right now if I remember seeing any females in their units, and I don't think I ever seen a female Marine. I'm sure they got them, but I don't think I've ever actually seen one. So, yeah. I took breaks from Everquest for Dark Ages of Camelot, which was amazing. Planet Side I didn't get to play. 3 factions, open world PvP, MMOs, and later being first-person shooters and no PvE. That sounds a lot like Firefall, being a first-person shooter and then a third-person shooter if you wanted to zoom out. It also allowed you to do like world events all the time. There was like an enemy, I forgot what they were called, like the Chaos or something, that was constantly trying to take waypoints over, and as they took that waypoint over, like the gas cloud came back in and made it very difficult for you to take it over and take more territory, which opened up more quests and more items that you can get and things of that sort. So I liked it. I liked the open worldness to it. I liked the fact that you were battling elements other than just creatures. Like the world seemed to be alive, and it would see like on off hours when there weren't a lot of people on, you were always constantly on the defensive instead of just like, oh, everything's already taken out and I don't have to worry about anything. Like when the prime hours, that was kind of the feel you had going on. So it was like two different worlds, nighttime and daytime, and it gave you a challenge. Like I normally played at night on that one, so running out there and trying to take these places open or over or defend them, that was usually defended by 20 or 30 people. When you're trying to do it solo, was very difficult, even if you could do it at all, and sometimes you couldn't do it at all. But when you did it, you felt like this sense of accomplishment, like, oh, not only did I stop this from being invaded, but everybody on the map knows that it was defended. And sometimes when there was a place on the map that was being taken over and you were defending it, the longer you were there defending it, the more people would see it on the map being like, oh, this is being contested and there's people there, somebody's defending that because it should have been taken over a long time ago. And they would show up and you'd get like a party going just because you were there participating in one of these like world events. At EverQuest 2 kind of had stuff like that when they came out with Great Divide. They did these like battles of the bulge, the gulch, and you would sit there at the giant gate, and every hour, so there was two different ones that you could go to, a ring war and then like this big gate one. And so one was on like the half an hour mark and the other one was at like the top of the hour, so you could go to one every half an hour. And if you were doing it back in the day, you would move from one to the other and you'd have like 15 minutes to set up, and it wasn't really that big of a wait. Next time you guys do a giveaway, I have a few of the 5 Intel range slot items to toss in the pile. Sweet. Should be soon here. Hit me up later stream and we can talk. Yeah, but it was interesting to be a part of that because anybody could show up at any time. They didn't have to be part of the raid. They didn't have to be part of the group. They could just show up and see these mobs coming in, and as long as they did damage to it, as long as they participated by using a heal or curing people or doing something, they had a system in place to realize that, okay, this guy's doing something. He's healing, and he healed for this amount. So he participated in this fight to this percentage. And the higher the percentage you participated, the more likely you were to get better tier loot. That is a cool system. It means that if I see somebody in need and I toss them a heal, then I am rewarded for that, even though I'm not part of that group. And that kind of brings the community together even more in a weird kind of unique aspect that was absolutely amazing on EverQuest 2 when they did it. Later on, they came out with more zones, and those public events is what they call them, pretty much became like non-existent. Like they were there, they still happen every 30 minutes, but nobody ever participates in them because they're just like the loot that you get out of them is no longer any good. But the idea behind it is kind of a unique thing, and it's kind of like with the ring war. Like you can be there, you can help out, but I don't think you get any loot out of it. Yeah, I think you get faction or something maybe if you help, but they look good on the females. Planet side. When I was at Arizona, there was a lot of Marines going. They're going through their intel schools. Quite a few females. RPT routes were the same as theirs. Yes, that kind of had to be pretty nice. Ring War has extra loot. Okay, that's cool. I've never actually done Ring War. Not even in Classic. Never was a part of the Ring War stuff. So that would be kind of... I've seen it happen a few times. I've run by the zone. I think we did that the other day when we were going to make a raid in Kale, I should say, if I can ever get my mount to work. Yato only has 10 or bigger, so that should be okay. Jeez, I really need to read these things quietly before I read them out loud, and Yato's already gone. What's up with him? I haven't seen him on... are you on the stream, Yato? Or do I need to type it out? Thoom has been having issues with his internet lately, or I guess it's the internet. I'm blaming it on the internet because he tries to log into the game and he gets, sometimes he gets into it, other times he gets error messages saying, blah, 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 error, can't get in. It seems like when he has a good day and there's really good internet where he's at, he logs in just fine. Other days, it won't let him log into any of his characters. He gets to like the character select screen sometimes. Other times he gets to the server select screen before it freaks out. And it's just been causing him problems. Like he'll sit there for an hour trying to get in at the library and not be able to do it. So he's been trying to narrow it down. He's uninstalled the game, reinstalled the game, tried to get it to where he's narrowing down the problem as much as possible, but it's very hard for him to do that because he's, like, in his words, he's not very good with computers. Like he's not very good troubleshooting that stuff. So when he's on, we try to give him as much advice as possible, but it's very hard to do it remote, diagnosis of something. Like, even when I have it in front of me where my computer's not working and I try to figure out like how to fix that, it takes me a long time, and I usually have to ask other people because I'm not very computer savvy either. Choker of the Wretched is 1 plus 8 stats, and Flowing Thought Necklet. Wow, that's really, really good. So I guess he's not in the channel. He's been having computer and internet issues, but he should hopefully be able to more. I guess that's the most simplistic answer to that question. There's a little bit more detail involved in it, but yeah, he's definitely wanting to play. He's just not able to. So at some point, maybe we can fix that. That choker sounds really good, though. I think maybe I'll have to check out the ring war at some point. I want to do the Shaw quest as well, but ZK has... I won't say he's warned me off of it, but he definitely did give me some heads up on it. The fact that you can fail the last little bit of it once you've done like the entire Shaw quest and you're ready to do the final combine, you can fail it. And people have. And they haven't just failed it once, they failed it, dozens of times in a row. And that's not an incredibly easy quest to do even once. I guess if you know what you're doing, you've done it a couple of times, you probably already have the skills set up if you've done it once, so you got all that in place. You don't have to go work on your tailoring and everything else, but you still got to go back and get the items from Velks, and you got to get the items off of the Wervens or whatever those giant guardian guys are in Great Divide, and they don't always drop them right away, so there's time spent in it to redo that quest from scratch, just so that you could have another chance at failing. But once you finally get it, it has Flowing Thought on it. So I think it's worth it for you in the end to get it. And he has it. So he's done the quest. But, anytime I mention that one, he's like, oh, don't do it, man. Don't do it. So I think he failed a lot. But I think he put in the time to keep getting it. So, yeah, there's a few things I still need to get. But I got, altitis. Like, I got a lot of tunes out there that need to be leveled. And that I kind of like having mid-range characters that we can play when all the high-level stuff is camped. The last couple weeks... Sirkin warned, I say warned, but he let everybody know on his stream that winter is when a lot of people start playing again. Like they're frozen outside and they can't do anything, so they're on their computer a little bit more often than they normally were. And I think we just got a pull in, so let me get out of the way. Yep, there we go. But yeah, winter is when more people will start playing. And because of that little tidbit, more of like the high-level zones, especially the high-level zones, have been getting camped a lot. And so there's nights where I'll log into Seb, and there's 60-something people in there. Just the other week, for the very first time since being back, I got to camp Disco 2, because Disco 1 was camped. NG had a full group, not just like one person over there, not like an enchanter doing it, but a full group of people camping that. You had the jail system already camped. CE, Chorus, King, everything over there, ABC, all of those areas were camped. And it was just, it kind of brought me back to the old days of live, where you have so many people playing on the server that you would camp one spawn. Like, I remember doing that in Soul B, waiting for a group as a cleric, something I almost never did as solo. But I would actually sit down and camp one kobold, and I didn't have to worry that I was going to get ads. I didn't have to worry that I was going to get trained. Everything in that zone, the moment it spawned, was immediately killed. And you're waiting for your turn on the list. You're waiting for your turn into the royals or into the nobles or in the window room or something along those lines. Bugs and bads, like whatever you could get into. You put your name on as many lists as possible and waited for your turn to get into the experience group. And while you were doing that, you were killing like a 7 or 15 or 21 minute, 28-minute mob in lower Guck until you could get into those. So it was, like I said, it brought me back to the old days. And some people were like complaining, when you have that kind of contention of mobs being sought after, because we did have some people complaining. You're like, oh, we took Disco 2 and they were already in Disco 1. Well, each one of them is a camp, and they weren't killing Disco 2. Like, it wasn't something they were actually going after. Those mobs were just kind of going to waste, so we moved into it. But some of them got upset and ended up being a little thing when they pulled one of our mobs, and then they were trolling us, to be honest, guys. I mean, I'm not gonna send a freaking petition in for it, but they definitely were trolling us. They pulled one of our mobs as we were fighting it, and then pulled it through their area where they had a lot of mobs and feigned death the mob. And in the end, all those mobs came back and trained us, and we died. Then, we asked them, hey, can you give us a res? And they just kept laughing and laughing, and we didn't realize, this is what was going on at the time. And we had another friend of ours who died up in NG, who, contacted the cleric down there, and he's like, hey, man, we died at NG, completely unrelated. And he's like, hey, can we get a res? And the guy's like, yeah, sure, drag your body down here. And so he had a friend drag his body, and when they got down there, they trained him and killed off his friend, as well as let his body sit there and rot, like they were going to help him out. So we had an enchanter in our group, and we mezzed our way down and like mind wiped, or however they do their crazy magic stuff that enchanters can do, which is outstanding. But yeah, so we finally got down there. We rezzed our own bodies. We rezzed our the friend of the monk and his friend that died. And by the time we got down there, Disco 1 had wiped, because they're doing all this crazy stuff just to troll people. And in the end, they killed themselves as well. And they were all getting, kind of butthurt about the fact that they died, even though, like, they were the ones that did it. Like, what can you say other than, like, you trained yourself? Like, it wasn't me. Like, we were dead already, so that's all you down there, guys. And then you're going to be buttheads. And so they were like, hey, can we get some reses? And I'm like, sure. Just let me wait a couple months, and I'll make sure to make my way back down here when your body disappears. Like, I hate being a butthead, but like, you're gonna be that big of a jerk to, like, I can understand you having problems with us taking Disco 2, not really, but okay, I get it. You're gonna have a problem with somebody completely unrelated that you didn't even know was a friend of mine that asked for a res, and then you say yes, have him drag their body down there and then kill him for no reason other than to giggle about it. Like, that just seems very trollish to the extreme of, like, I don't want to help you out. I don't want to be a part of anything you have to do, because that's, you're like, you suck. You're a horrible person for doing that kind of stuff. If you want to do that, go to red. Like, that's where those kind of troll moves really fit in, and they're not just you being a jerk. Like, that's part of PvP. Like, you're supposed to kind of troll people in that regard, and it's sought after, and it's not unexpected. But when you do it on a server like this, it definitely doesn't bode well for your reputation. And I put that guy on ignore. I only have like 3 people on ignore, and that's after 2 years. So you don't get on that ignore list very easily for me, anyways. But yeah, so it brought in that kind of conflict, which I remember being a thing in live, and some people were like, "That sounds horrible," right? Yeah, a little bit, but the fact that nostalgia was there, bringing me back, made it okay. Like, it just, like, okay, that's cool. Like, I remember this stuff going on, the drama, right? I'm not into it, but I remember it. Why don't I get invites into Seb? More dots. Why don't I get invites to Seb? I don't know. I mean, shamans are very sought after in Seb. Absolutely amazing classes. If they slow things, Cleric doesn't have to do anything. He can just sit back and relax. Yato's taking some damage. Let me go ahead and heal him. I think these guys are going to be able to kill this fairly quickly. I could be a DPS shaman. I think if you're a DPS shaman or any type of shaman, you'd still be valuable down there, man. And of course, I'm talking to him like he's in the channel. I have no idea how many people are actually in my group, in my channel or not, but it's easier than typing it out, that's for sure. And I've gotten a little spoiled in that regard. Yeah, he's at 18%. I had no idea we could do these guys so easy. Or at least they're just making it look that way. It's kind of cool. I like it. I'm not chasing this one. Yeah, I didn't chase the last one. I think once they start running away from you, there's real no reason to go after it if you're a healer. I guess as a DPS though, I mean you could toss some dots on them, but I'm pretty sure you already did that, so not a big deal to sit here in the back. Snaring. But dragons is something at a lower level I always kind of wanted to fight. Like D&D, that's where it was at. Like dragons was like in game, the big main boss guy. You really didn't get bigger than that. And so when I played Everquest, when you'd hear about like Lady Vox and Nagy, and later on they added a few others that you could go in there and fight, it was always like that was the big thing. Like that. Those are the guys that you looked at and you're like, oh, these guys are all coming together as a huge raid force, which again was very D&D style. There was no limit on how many people you could have come over to your house and do a dungeon. Like you could bring in as many people as you wanted to. And those of you who do things like LARPing, the live action role playing, in real life, where you go out to a park or a field of some sort and you dress up and you do the whole garb, and you throw like little pockets of pixie dust as magic, and like get all into it. And I've seen some of these go on like YouTube, and they look absolutely amazing. I mean, you probably feel like an idiot, but I think it would be fun, and I think it would be cool to try these things out. But yeah, it's kind of the same thing in that one, where there's no limit. Like the more people you got, the more things you can do. And it's the same way in this one. Like there's no limit to raids. Later on, they started putting a limit to it. Like sometimes it was like 5 groups of 6. I think later on they narrowed it down to 4 groups of 6. So simple addition, yo. I need a neck. Nope, it doesn't look like a neck piece dropped off of that one, unfortunately. So not off of every single one of these. Just dragon meat. That sucked. I wonder what dragon meat is for. I wonder if you can make a sandwich out of that or something. Probably. I would imagine. But yeah, so I kind of like that. If any of you have ever watched the TV show Sword Art Online, that one didn't have a limit either. Like as many people who could show up to the raid showed up. The person, I believe, who got the final hit in that one got the experience. So everybody was trying to get that last little bit of damage at the very end. But that's when the mob would go into its like chaotic rampage and start slashing anybody who was nearby. And in that TV show, they're in a VR system where if you die in it, you die in real life. So you want to push it, but you don't want to push it because you could die. So that kind of give and take again brings me back to EverQuest. Like there's a bonus, but there's a penalty, and the penalty's just as severe as the bonus is great. And that's a very fine line to walk. They haven't walked it very well in a lot of other video games, and some of you guys have mentioned other ones out there, like Star Wars Galaxy. I think that one did fairly well for itself. I think they went down a different path later down the road when they started integrating like the Jedi. The Jedi, from what I heard, were incredibly difficult to kill. Like they were just almost impossible to kill. But if you killed them, I think you lost your character or your Jedi status. It was something severe. It was a big blow to you once you lost your Jedi, status or whatever it was. So that was very like EverQuestness, challenging mode style. I think the fact that it was very difficult to kill made them a little bit too uber though. Like the penalty was definitely there, but the uberness may have been a little bit too high, just from somebody looking outside into it. Well met a bit, and with Bard. If you like that kind of medieval type stuff, you should try Scarborough Fair near Dallas. Yeah, I could do that. I got family who live up there, and they're supposed to I don't know how far along they are, but they're supposed to be building a train that goes from Houston to Dallas, which sounds kind of cool. It's supposed to be able to get up there in like 30 minutes, where the trip usually takes about 5 hours. Read Ready Player One, great book about game. Ready Player One. Isn't that the book that the guy gave a DeLorean away? He did like a little thing where there's a hint at the very end. You had to go to another game on the online, and you played that one. You got the high score, and it led you to another hint. Sorry, guys. But yeah, I think I remember seeing that on Tech TV or G4 or something along those lines. Nah, Smog is down on his life, so let me give him some health since I got a little bit. You see that dragon dim? You ever see a duck eat seaweed? Kind of the same thing. You're right. A little bit. The dragon out there in the water. This is a weird way to put it. No links allowed. Oh, man. I don't know how to give you permission to do that. That would be... man, I need to pay attention to that more often. I got Richard Heat, which you guys may know as Mavis on here, who tends to moderate the channel. And I love the guy for it. He does a fantastic job doing it. But when he's not on, I kind of have to do it myself. And since I never pay attention to that side of it, I have no idea how to give you permission for it. Was linking? Oh, okay. I think you can do it if you put a space between the .com or something, and people can just backspace that. I think it may still just delete the message. I don't know. I hope it doesn't. Yeah, there's supposed to be a few here in Houston as well. I think the one thing that's stopped me from doing it is I've never been to any of them. So it would be a brand new experience. I go to the Renfest every year. In fact, this year I went 3 times because we got such a good deal on the tickets that I was able to go a little more often. It was a bit much, though. Like, I like the Renfest. No, yes, it's still not going to let you do it. Dang it. Yeah, Richard, he's smart, man. He was like, that's an easy fix. I can make sure the space doesn't work. But yeah, I went to the Renfest, and you dress up, and I got different outfits for it. So I'm accustomed to doing that kind of stuff. But please post your link. What's with the platinum? I don't need platinum. And getting tells I see you on TV. Yeah, Yato, I'm famous. Can I get an HP buff again? Demo. 8 plat. Let me give it to him. I was gonna give it to him last time, but he was out of my range. Still don't know what the plat's for. Let's do heroism for everybody, because I think we all got dispelled on that one. Come on. There you go. If you're going to post a link, try to ask first so Movis doesn't get you. I try to monitor channel chat as much as I can to grant the permission. Oh, okay, so you're on, Richard. Thank you for getting to that, man. I do appreciate it. Like I said, he does a fantastic job moderating the channel and keeping track of some of that stuff, because I remember when I first came on here, I had, I think, like 2 or 3 moderators, and see. Sorry, I'm looking at a text real quick. But yeah, I used to have only like 2 people do the moderate of the channel, and got some stuff that popped up in there that was very racist, and I wasn't paying attention, and thankfully I had Super Bits and Bob in there, and he booted that guy out while I was looking at something else online. So it's nice to have you guys keep track of the knuckleheads that can sometimes make their way into the channel. No links allowed. There we go. There's the link. So for 60 seconds, you got to be quick on the ball on that one. Let's see. See the dragon. Yep, yep. Okay, so I didn't miss anything. And I think he's pulling again. Scarbo. I wasn't aware of the no link policy. I am now, though. Yeah, I mean, you can get permission to post links once you've come onto the channel enough, and we get to know you a little bit, and we're not afraid you're gonna put crazy porn links or something like that up there for people to click on with viruses and everything else. Then we can grant you like permanent status to be able to post links. But I think the from somebody who's never watched too many of the Twitch channels, where are they going? Are we all getting in the water or what? Oh, he's just putting his pet out there. Okay. Yeah, for somebody who's never watched too many Twitch channels out there, I do hear about some of the horror stories that people have to deal with when they become a big, chicken porn site. That would be Thoom right there, and he has permission to post stuff. So be very careful when Thoom posts links. You may not know where they're going to take you, to be honest. But he's never done it. I mean, I'm giving him a hard time because he's big into chicken, but yeah, he recently reached his 500th subscriber, and he's getting in contact with a t-shirt company to make t-shirts that he's gonna hand out to some of the lucky winners of whatever he decides to do with it, whether it's a drawing or just random, sending it out to people who watch the channel or hit likes or whatever the case is. He's designing it himself though, so it's taking a little bit longer. He's gonna have the picture drawn for him. I forgot what he said. It's gonna be like a chicken butt on the front and like like a sexy chicken on the back, or like it's a crazy, crazy ideas that he has going for it. But it sounds absolutely fantastic. I can't wait to see him myself. No worries, no lemon party links from. Yeah. Let's see. Are you near SG by chance? Killing dragons at the moment. Yeah, so it seems kind of cool. Like he's very big into his channel. He's getting there. He's building up his base as time goes on, and he likes to give back to you guys as much as possible. And I think the T-shirt idea is something he's been thinking about for a long time, and I think it's a fantastic idea. I think chicken is definitely his calling. He used to be a chef, so he knows how to cook it, and it's just like his favorite food. I think in the end, and we give him a hard time because. I think he likes it a little bit too much sometimes. The way he talks about it. You gotta have that duct tape, and he got feathers everywhere. But it definitely brings the humor in. Like I like to discuss like the seriousness of a game. I like to like pick it apart and be like, "Whoa, what are the game mechanics of this?" And he comes in and like everybody just starts laughing. So it's great to have him in there. It's we have a good back and forth. I think in the end, he's a good friend of mine. So an old army buddy sent me a lemon party link via email one time. Needless to say, I blocked him. I guess it would be horrible to say I have no idea what the lemon party is, but I have no idea what the lemon party is, and I'm pretty fine with that considering the context of what you're saying right there. So yeah, they also told me about the Two Girls and One Cup, which I have never watched, and I'm still never going to watch that. So this is stuff you guys put online. I'm not saying like you yourself, but the stuff people out there in the world will post in the internet is absolutely crazy. You don't want to know, trust me. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So I'm sure somebody out there watching this video like a year later is going to be like, what are they talking about? I'm going to do a search for it. You probably don't want to do it, guys. You probably some things cannot be unseen, and you're going to be fine with never seeing those things. I think in the end, I know I will be. And people tell me about them, but I don't want to see that stuff. I don't go to the dark side of the net very often, unless it has to do with trying to figure out how to install Windows without all the crap where they monitor everything that they're doing to your system when you don't want them to do it. Like that's pretty much as far to the deep end of the net that I go. Yeah, there you go. Oh man. So they're gonna pull another mob here. Let me see, how much experience have I gained? Not bad actually. I mean, I think I've gained about a bubble of blue from just like 4 mobs. So that's pretty good. I mean, that's like 15, 20 minutes in Seb. if not a little bit more, in a decent group, and like a decent disco group. So I mean, the fact that we were only killing 4, if we could kill them a little bit faster, this could definitely be a leveling spot and decent loot. Like we've shown right now already, you can get these talismans here, the 4 ones. I think we might be able to get a 5 one every once in a while, but there's no guarantee to that. I think you're on Nibs level finally. 8 platinum, 100%. I'm ready. Yeah, I wish I was talking to these guys more. They're in TeamSpeak right now, and like I said before, I'm staying out of TeamSpeak just because I know when we did the Plane of Hate raid with Velocity Shift, they like to keep some things secret. They got to compete with other raids out there, and I completely understand that. So, I'm staying out of it for that reason. Also, when I went to the Plane of Fear raid with Paradigm Shift, they asked me to stay out of TeamSpeak or not share it with the stream because they wanted to keep that stuff private. And I didn't even actually see that. So they booted me out of it at the end of it without me even noticing, because I was in full screen mode where like none of the chat boxes were up until I switched back and I'm like, oh, what's going on? Why does it get so quiet? And that's why. So it's going to give me ability to actually talk to you guys a little bit more often, because when TeamSpeak is going on, I don't have the ability to sit there and talk to you. You can't talk over somebody else and hear them and listen to commands and things of that sort. So it's going to make it a little difficult in the sense that I won't be able to hear them give off commands like, oh, everybody gather up, everybody do this. But it's a small price to pay so that I can stream it, I think, in the end. And if they're okay with it, then I'm okay with it. Okay, so Yato is healed. Mallow and slowed. Okay, so he's getting beat on. Let me go ahead and heal Smogs. Yato is fine. He just got Torpor on him. Torpor is an amazing spell. My heal over time does a decent amount, but it doesn't do anywhere near as good as Torpor does. But of course, mine doesn't slow him down. Mine doesn't stop him from being able to move. It's not a snare. I think I get another one. I'm trying to think of what level that might happen. Level 58, 59, maybe? I have to look at the spells. Speaking of chicken, there is a great chicken joke I know. You tear some white paper into tiny bits, hold it in your hand. Then the joke goes, how do you know if someone has been having oral sex with the chicken? Then you cough into your hand and the white pieces of paper fly out of your hand like you came out of your mouth. Like little feathers or something? Yeah, that... you could use little feathers instead. That would definitely would go a little bit further. I know magicians kind of use those tricks a lot as well when they're doing their jokes. Kind of get things going on. But as far as magic goes, I would have to say my favorite magicians out there is Penn and Teller. They're a little bit more than just magicians. They tend to do comedy as well as magic tricks, and they kind of touch on political issues a lot of the time. They tend to have, like, they did a show called Penn and Teller's BS, and it was cool to watch. I liked seeing different people's takes on topics that you don't normally hear about. And that's like why I like South Park, because South Park will do a comedy version of those types of topics, making fun of both sides, making fun of themselves, making fun of the other side, but portraying a point of view. And I think the more point of views that you're exposed to, the more willing you are to listen to other people, and just starting a dialogue with the other side is the first step in figuring out how to coexist with somebody that you don't agree with. Because when you don't talk to somebody, that's when things will go wrong. Like if you can't work things out, things just get worse. So comedy, I think, gives people a universal way of doing that. Although not all comedy is universal. Definitely have, like, English comedy, I just don't get. I wish I did. I see people like crack up laughing watching Monty Python, and I'm like, man, I love to have another movie that I just crack up laughing watching, but I don't get it. I just don't get it. It's a different type of humor, and I don't begrudge them for having it, but really wish I could participate with you guys on that one and get to enjoy it. Let's see. Stuns aren't landing because I wasn't in LOS because of water. Line of sight. You're gonna have to farm me bat wings. The merch sells them. Yeah, you got as many bat wings as you could possibly want to buy over in the commons near the tunnel. One of the vendors over there in the little huts in that zone. I don't remember if it's the hut near Freeport or the hut near East Common zone line that sells the bat wings, but one of them definitely sells it. Nah, farm. Yeah, will mercilessly tear the wings off of every bat in Norath. Freezer. That's horrible. Yeah, I mean, I think they're great. They were also in another TV show called Babylon 5, where they were portraying kind of like themselves. They were, uh, comedians, magicians that wanted to get into politics, and I think that's kind of where some of their passion and their love of comedy comes from, is going on those topics. So it's the single hut near the inn near the West Common Zone line. Okay, so there you go. That's where you can get it. And you use that not only for levitation, but you also use it for batwing crunchies if you're doing your trade skill. So if you're gonna, instead of going out and like harvesting the stuff, which you're more than welcome to do, but if you're going to want to try to just buy the stuff, kind of do it quickly, then my suggestion would be to go ahead and get the batwing crunchies by buying the batwings from the vendor. They're cheap. You can buy as many of them as you want. You can level it up really quick. There we go. Took hold. All right. Let me sit back down. How close is this thing to dying? 20%. Yeah, I'm gonna be good on mana. Unlimited fish scales also. Yeah, that's pretty cool. Oh, did you see the new Netflix movie? I did see a new sci-fi movie on Netflix. What was the name of it? Yeah, Spectral. Yeah, where they're like semi-ghost, but they're not. I don't want to spoil it for anybody. Like Ghost is where I'm going to leave it, but there's definitely more story to go along with it that I thought was really good. Very well done. The acting was pretty spot on. It does take place in a war zone, so if you're not like really interested in those types of movies, I know some people are kind of they've had enough war in real life to last them several lifetimes, and they don't really find those things entertaining. It does. Oh crap! This guy's getting rampaged on or something. There we go. Oh, and he got beat on in the face again. I got mad. I'm only at 17%, so I'll save it for Yato if he needs it. I don't know if I would say it's so good for Netflix, because I've seen some Netflix movies that are okay, but yeah, I would definitely say it's a really good movie. And if you guys have not seen it yet, you should probably give it a shot. I watch a lot of Netflix though, better than most movies out now. Yeah, sci-fi all the way though. Like it has that sci-fi theme to it, which really made me wonder if the Sci-Fi Channel made it. But no, it's Amazon out there. I wonder if I disband if I'd get kill. Maybe. I don't know how that works. Oh, we didn't get any experience off of that? Oh, he did get the kill. Yeah, he got all the experience for himself on that one because he disbanded there at the last second. That kind of sucked. Okay, so that's interesting little. No, I got one already. But thank you. Haha, take me to Seb. I can TPS. No, I'm not gonna call him a scumbag. Dude, he was testing it out. So tally all your demo probably gonna rot. Yeah, so there it is right there. It's gonna last for 7 minutes. I don't think you could run here fast enough though, guys. If you're out there watching and you're like, I don't have one of those talismans. I really, really want it. Great dragon head. What's the head for? I think I'll take it to pair with the. think it's the exact same one as the one I already have. Let me look at it. Yeah, same resist, same mana, same everything. Turn in for the Frostbringer or Cloak for Maelstrom with Giant Faction. Go ahead. Nah, no one needs. Or Cloak. I need Giant Faction. I was actually on Giant Faction for a while there. I could probably get back my faction fairly easy by turning in some heads, so yeah, that could be cool. Oh, I can't leave the corpse yet. Alright, so we'll see how this works. Okay, so we're going to lose our slower, so this might come to an end right here if he's heading out. Camping here. Yeah, I don't think we can do it without a slower. There we go. Alright, got me ahead, guys. And there's the talisman right there. If you're in the zone and you're watching, get your own new talisman. It's not as good as the +5 or +6s, but it's better than what most people were wearing. I should have put one of my alts over here. That would have been nice to get that guy something like that. At like level, I put my warrior over here and give him this. Like that would be crazy. My warrior running around with this talisman on. Like those are nice stats. Dex, strength, charisma, like everything that you could possibly want, and then the resist and the AC. You're not going to find better than that for a long time. Let's see. We are heading out. Okay. And, yeah, you got a gate or run back with me. I got a hammer, but we'll run if you were bound here. Now we'll look for a port. Smog could have looted something off that dragon, and y'all wouldn't know what it was. Just saying, yeah, he could have, but I mean, he's part of the guild. He's not gonna, I hope, not gonna do anything like that. Okay, so I am going to sit here and med up. I am going to take a short break, guys. We're going to end the episode here for now. Probably in about 30, 40 minutes. Once I figure out what we are going to be doing again, I'll start up the stream and get things going. But I need to find a port and everything else. So I'm going to have to kind of concentrate on that. I do want to thank you guys all for coming out. If you enjoyed the videos, definitely remember, leave those comments down below. Let me know what you guys think, what you want to see in the future. Do you guys have suggestions of zones you want to see me go to? Kedge is definitely on my list of places we need to kind of spend some time in. We haven't shown that too much. We do want to go to Nurga and a few of the other ones, Kesora, spend some times in those zones. Those are ones that we kind of bypassed with all our characters. It's very easy to get, used to certain zones and just go back to them again and again and again to level up. But we need to throw some variants in those, I think, at some point. Siren's Grotto. Siren's Grotto I have done a little bit of hunting in, and that's mainly with Nibris. Nibris is the king of Siren's Grotto. I do also want to go to the Plane of Mischief at some point as well, and it sounds very, very tough in there. I don't want to rub salt into anybody's wounds, but a friend of ours who happens to be an enchanter lost their pet along with like 12 or 13k worth of items on their pet while they were in there. So it sounds painful. Sounds like a tough zone. If that guy couldn't do it, I don't know if I even stand a chance at it, because he's far better at the game than I am, or I probably will ever be. So it will be interesting to see the zone even just a little bit. But as far as hunting in there and actually killing in a Plane of Mischief, the jury's still out on that one. Yeah, SG inside the house. I did right outside the house. I haven't gone in the house yet. I hear that's even tougher than outside. So maybe when Thum gets his internet fixed, or whatever the computer problems is that he's having, we'll be able to, have like a level 56, level 57 warrior go in there with us. I'm hoping to be level 58, 59 by the time that happens, so I'll be able to heal a little bit better. And Alar's been leveling up, so he's going to be like level 59 as well on his rogue, so we got the DPS. Maybe throw in ZK with his epic and shaman, and it sounds like a good group going in. So I mean, maybe that might be a possibility here fairly soon. But a lot of things have to coincide to get that to work. But in the end, guys, I want to thank you all for watching. Stay tuned. Maybe in the next 30 to 45 minutes, we'll have another episode going here, maybe on my warrior, maybe on my cleric. I am going to touch base with Cypher and Chupa and see if I can get them in the call and see if they're busy or if they want to get maybe a plate house group going or something, which would be amazing. I think we all need a little bit of plate from Kale. As always, I'm AC Gamer, and I will definitely catch you guys in just a little bit.